Chapter 281. C282 Mother wants to discuss Taoism with Senior Yi. The moment Hong Chenny took off his mask, the imperial capital was silent for a few seconds, and then burst into earth-shaking exclamations. Look, it's the Red Leader. The Red Cult Master's immortal power is boundless. Heaven and earth live together. I really love him so much. Why do I think he is even more beautiful than before? I just like his looks, but it's a pity that he is a boy. But it doesn't stop me from treating him as a goddess. Looking at that elegant figure in red, countless female cultivators, eyes shone, waving and shouting with enthusiastic expressions. The scene was once out of control, comparable to a large-scale star-chasing scene. Seeing that Hong Chenny was so popular, Li Wuji was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped, and he murmured, "Good guy, it turns out I really didn't brag before." Yi Junlin also felt a little surprised. It seemed that this ancient country really respected people with good looks. The more beautiful a woman is, the more preferential treatment she receives. And his eldest apprentice's male and female looks have a direct advantage here, and are sought after and worshipped by countless female fans. This is really a face-based world. No wonder I thought he looked familiar when we first met. Dongfang Mengyao was shocked, and she couldn't help but recall the figure she saw in the palace with her mother when she was a child. She was very naive back then and simply thought this sister was beautiful. However, when she later found out the other person's true gender, she was stunned at that moment and even felt a little inferior in her heart. That beautiful skin makes even all the women in the world feel ashamed. It turns out that he himself came in person, no wonder he has such terrifying strength. Aunt May's expression was full of awe, and she suddenly felt sympathy for the dead Yan Guangju. In the imperial capital, Yan Guangju was known as the female devil, but she never expected that one day she would die in the hands of a real big devil. You must know that the allied immortal army that marched out from the central region was completely destroyed in his hands a while ago. Such a shocking record made the Red Demon Red Chenny's reputation far greater than before. Countless righteous monks were trembling with fear, and even more so the demonic monks. Treat him as a leader. If this kind of existence counterattacks the central region under the banner, I don't know what kind of bloody storm it will cause. Therefore, Aunt May thinks that Yan Guangju died in a bitter way. If he had known his identity in advance, he would have groveled and flattered him, and maybe he could have saved his life. Red Leader, why didn't you inform me in advance before you came? I can lead the people to hold the highest level welcome ceremony. Dongfang Jing said excitedly. Facing this famous person in the central territory, she couldn't continue to call herself me, so she still had to grasp this point of propriety. It's okay, I'm just revisiting my old place. Hong Chenny waved her hands, her expression was very emotional when she saw her old friend. Dongfang Jing seemed to have thought of something, and said with a complicated expression, Red Leader, when the immortal war broke out, I couldn't come forward directly due to my status. After all, I represent the kingdom of Heavenly Lady and I have to be responsible for the people. I hope you can understand. After all, the fire-worshipping demon sect was besieged on all sides and had enemies all over the world, and even the Holy Lord Taichu personally ended up representing the righteous way. The situation had reached an irreversible point. At this time, if the kingdom of Heavenly Lady were to take a trip into this muddy water, it would definitely make a mistake. Public anger has no place in the central region, and the final result can only be the destruction of the country. For so many years, Dongfang Jing has been feeling guilty and self-blame. It was not until the news about Hong Chenny came out not long ago that she felt relieved. Hear the words. A smile appeared at the corner of Hong Chenny's mouth. Fellow Taoist, there is no need to mention the past events. I have never blamed you. After all, it was the trend of the times and destiny. Dongfang Jing was stunned, looked up and down carefully, and sighed, Red Leader, you have changed. For some reason, after so many years, Dongfang Jing felt that there was an indescribable transformation in the other person's appearance and temperament. She didn't feel as ruthless and ferocious as before, and inexplicably became much more relaxed and easygoing. For example, it used to be like a rose with thorns. It looked pleasing to the eye from a distance, but when you touch it, it will be dripping with blood from the thorns. But now, it is like a peerless sword hidden in the scabbard. It will only be used up after being unsheathed. Show your edge. Dongfang Jing was very curious, what happened to make this ruthless, arrogant devil change like this? After all, according to common sense, after such a person becomes stronger, shouldn't his mentality become more expanded? Hong Chenny's eyes flashed and she said softly, yes, you read that right. He does not deny this. The one who suffered the most was King Pingxi. I saw her looking left and right, with big beads of sweat on her forehead, and she was struggling anxiously inside. King Pingxi has always hated every good-looking woman, but Hong Chiba is not a woman, but her appearance is better than countless women, so her jealousy is beyond recognition, and she is secretly cursing behind her back. As a result, retribution came quickly. Her daughter Yan Guangju was killed by the other party. How can she reason with this? The most important thing is that, with the 7th Dao sect as a warning, in King Pingxi's heart, Hong Chenyi is a great threat. My cultivation level is probably already at the realm of Xuanxian. If she insists on revenge now, even if she blows herself up, it will be difficult to endanger the other person's life. It can be said that my current situation is unprecedentedly embarrassing. Master Hong, my Yuner has offended you unintentionally. You just want to punish her a little more severely. Why did you kill her directly? How can you be so cruel to such a lively and cute little girl? You know, she is still a child. King Pingxi's eyes were red and he said sadly. Everyone felt nauseated and almost vomited. Does that kind of stinky fat woman deserve to be called a little girl? Your definition of a little girl is quite special. The corner of Hong Chenyi's mouth twitched slightly. This wording reminded him of the dead Feng Qingyang, who was also trying to excuse his son. By the way, this man and this woman are a perfect match, and it would be quite suitable for them to become Taoist couples. There is no need for a reason for me to kill someone. It's because you failed to teach your son well in its karma. But now it seems that you want to avenge your dead daughter. Hong Chenyi said with raised eyebrows. The surrounding air solidified instantly. King Pingxi shivered suddenly, the hairs all over his body stood up, and a sense of crisis of death emerged in his heart. At the critical moment, a stiff smile appeared on her face, but the smile was uglier than crying. What the Red Cult Master is teaching me is that I have failed to discipline him in my daily life, and that evildoer deserves to die. You are acting on behalf of God. As soon as these words came out, everyone has weird looks on their faces, the gap between you and your front is really big. Hong Chenyi said playfully, I am very pleased that you think so. Don't worry, I have forgiven her. Dongfang Jing coughed a few times and said seriously, King Pingxi, why don't you thank the Red Cult Master quickly? She felt extremely relieved to see her old rival lose face and lose her beloved son. King Pingxi's face turned the color of pig liver, and he almost spit out a mouthful of blood. My daughter has turned into ashes, your forgiveness is of no use. Of course, it was impossible for her to say these words, so she could only hold them in her heart uncomfortably. The most outrageous thing was that she had to thank her enemy in turn. Even though she knew it was just a joke, the pain was like a knife, churning crazily in her chest. The pain was so painful that my heart was twitching crazily. The next moment, King Pingxi resisted the urge to vomit blood, and the fat on his face was shaking. He bowed his hands stiffly and gritted his teeth and said, Master Hong, I can't thank you enough for your great kindness. Seeing King Pingxi being forced to bow his head, countless female cultivators in the imperial capital felt dizzy and felt like they were letting out a breath of bad breath. Invisibly, they admire Hong Chenyi even more. Go away. Hong Chenyi was merciless, waving her hands as if to shoo away flies, her tone was very contemptuous. King Pingxi was extremely aggrieved and silently returned the way he came. Hee, that fat woman must be furious. Dongfang Mengyao beamed with joy and wanted to clap her hands. She even shouted loudly, just to let King Pingxi hear her. Sure enough, King Pingxi trembled, but he didn't look back. Instead, he quickly escaped into the palace and disappeared from everyone's sight. Yaoer, Dongfang Jing pretended to be angry, but she actually had a smile on her face. Mom, I miss you. Dongfang Mengyao ran over happily and said coquettishly. Looking at her beloved daughter, Dongfang Jing reached out and pinched her pink cheeks, and said angrily, You still know how to come back, I thought you had forgotten me. No way, my mother is the best. Dongfang Mengyao said playfully. You are so glib, it hurts, my daughter's face will be crushed by you. Nonsense, mother is just trying a little harder. Hee, by the way, who is this fellow Taoist? Dongfang Jing's expression changed, and her eyes shifted to Yi Junlin, her beautiful eyes shining with brilliance. When she came out, she noticed this distinctive silver-haired young man, but she didn't ask because of the occasion just now. Now that she had the chance, she naturally wanted to get to know him. Mom, he is Mr. Yi, his daughter's friend. Dongfang Mengyao's expression was a little complicated. After all the previous contacts, she realized that this young man might have a lot of background, and her inner expectations were likely to be disappointed. I am Yi Junlin, from the Xuantian sect of the Eastern region. Yi Junlin said with a smile. Eastern region, Xuantian sect. Dongfang Jing was stunned for a moment and looked at Hong Chenny pointedly. Nowadays, there are rumors in the Central Territory that Xuantian sect is the fire worship demon sect in disguise. So this person must be a subordinate of the Red Leader. As if she was afraid that Dongfang Jing would misunderstand, Hong Chenny said quickly, "He is my master, and I have already become his disciple." What? Dongfang Jing was stunned and said in disbelief. The famous leader of the fire worship demon cult, the powerful demon in the central region, would actually willingly become someone else's disciple. If this news gets out, it will definitely shock the outside world again. Aunt May opened her mouth and looked at Yi Junlin with fear in her eyes. No wonder the feeling she had before was unfathomable, but her true identity was so shocking. Master Yi, Dongfang Mengyao's head was buzzing because it surprised her so much. Recalling her previous operations, Dongfang Mengyao was so ashamed that her status as a princess was even worse than hers. The Lord of the Heavenly Lady Kingdom has met Senior Yi. After reluctantly accepting this reality, Dongfang Jing's heart was shaken and she bowed respectfully. Only now did she understand that the changes in her old friend Hong Chiba ultimately came from this young man. No need to be polite, these are all my disciples. Yi Junlin introduced Li Wuji and the others. Dongfang Jing's eyes swept over them one by one, her heart filled with awe. The disciples around her were like this, and she was even more in awe of Yi Junlin. Certainly, the most important thing is, this Senior Yi is very good looking. Take the 7 most beautiful male concubines in her harem, all of them are no match for the other, the gap is like the difference between heaven and earth. Dongfang Jing stared at the figure blankly, lost for a moment. The more she looked, the more fascinated she became, and strange thoughts emerged from deep in her heart. "Mom, what's wrong with you?" Dongfang Mengyao saw that her mother was not right, and hurriedly shook her arm. Dongfang Jing came back to her senses, looked at her daughter with relief, and said softly, "Mom is fine, but these few days, Mom wants to ask Senior Yi for Taoism and take sperm." Chapter 282. C283 Older people are the best. Going to the west. Dongfang Mengyao looked suspicious, always feeling that her mother had other intentions, as if something was not right, and it felt strange. Among them, only Hong Chenny heard the hidden meaning of the words. After all, they were old friends who had known each other for many years, and they knew her temperament. They knew that the other party seemed to be dignified and majestic, but in fact, there was a fiery and crazy heart hidden. As the saying goes, emperors have loved beauties since ancient times, and Dongfang Jing is a woman, so she naturally loves handsome men. In her harem, there are many male favorites who are eagerly waiting. It is enough to prove that Dongfang Jing desires the best male beauty. This is also the reason why Dongfang Jing was eager to move after seeing Yi Junlin. Hong Chenny, who is well versed in this, sees through but does not say it. At this time, his face is strange, and his eyes wander back and forth between Dongfang Jing, Dongfang Mengyao, and Yi Junlin. The atmosphere suddenly became subtle. Yi Junlin frowned. What is this inexplicable feeling of anxiety? The strangest thing is that when he looked at Dongfang Jing, who was smiling, and their eyes met, for some reason, his kidneys felt a little painful and numb, as if his body's instinct was sending out early warning signals. Yi Junlin's eyelids jumped. What's going on? Could it be that this woman is going to bite my kidneys? In fact, creatures who have reached the level of a mortal king will be more sensitive to the feedback from the outside world and have the ability to perceive risks in advance. When Yi Junlin, who is at the level of a mortal king, saw Dongfang Jing smiling at him, his kidneys on both sides of his waist began to ache. It is enough to prove that it is the perception of the immortal king level that is at work, and it even affects the normal reaction of the body. Everyone, please move to the palace and let me, the Tianu kingdom, entertain you warmly to show my gratitude. Dongfang Jing whispered softly. When she said this, her eyes always stayed on Yi Junlin, with a gentle smile on the corner of her mouth. This is called the drunkard's intention is not the wine. Dongfang Mengyao tilted her head and blinked. Her mother seemed to be more gentle than she remembered. Was it because she was receiving distinguished guests? Yi Junlin pondered for a moment. Thank you for your hospitality, fellow Taoist Dongfang. Although he felt strange, he had always been a freeloader. Facing the cordial invitation of the Lord of Tianu country, how could he refuse? In a word, since he was here. Senior Yi, you are so polite. Guests are guests, especially guests like you. Dongfang Jing said meaningfully with her eyes rolling. Yi Junlin quickly looked away and stopped looking at her. Only then did he feel better on both sides of his waist. Strange, could it be that Zhao Hong's good friend had practiced some unorthodox methods for the kidneys? Why did the kidneys ache when there was eye contact? The world is really full of wonders. Then, under Dongfang Jing's guidance, Yi Junlin and his friends entered the palace. The palace of Tianu Kingdom is magnificent, far more magnificent than those immortal dynasties in the East region. If you have to compare, it is the difference between a luxurious courtyard and a thatched house. Looking around, the entire palace is magnificent, and every brick can be refined into an excellent magic weapon. The area is so vast. The red city wall alone is like a giant dragon, stretching endlessly, showing an unparalleled style. At the top of the palace, a huge national destiny is brewing, which is the supreme authority of the ruler. It is precisely because of this that Dongfang Jing is confident that she can use this advantage to suppress the top-level celestial being Pingxi Wang. However, if the other party wants to die in self-destruct, even if she can survive by chance, the entire imperial capital may not be spared. Therefore, she does not want to tear her face unless it is absolutely necessary. After all, if it really comes to that, it will be a huge loss for Tianu Kingdom. Moreover, Pingxi Wang has served the country for many years and resisted the invasion of the Xi clan. He has made contributions, and the current court still needs him. Not long after, under Dongfang Jing's order, a grand palace feast began. The civil and military officials sitting outside were all women, which Yi Junlin could understand, but what made him feel most uncomfortable was that the team entering the venue to perform dances was all men. This group of handsome and well-proportioned dancers, wearing unique cool costumes, deliberately used several straps to show clear chest muscles, and danced various suggestive dances. The female ministers around were excited and smiled with satisfaction. "Oh my god, what are you dancing to?" Li Wuji, a rough man, couldn't hold it back when he saw this scene. His face was like a painful mask, and he felt it was very hot. "What are you arguing about? Do you understand when in Rome?" Hong Chenny glanced at him and said unhappily. "Okay, I won't see it." Li Wuji closed his eyes angrily, not wanting to see this scene that violated his cognition. Yi Junlin rubbed his eyebrows and felt very awkward. If it were a beautiful woman, it would be more pleasing to the eyes, but this is the land of goddesses, and the climate is not suitable for them. Dongfang Jing's eyes flashed, as if she noticed something wrong, and she felt ashamed. She quickly ordered all the royal dancers to be withdrawn. "Senior Yi, I was inconsiderate just now. Now let me dance to express my apology." With that, in the shocked eyes of everyone, Dongfang Jing stood up and walked to the center of the hall with lotus steps. The ministers were so frightened that their faces suddenly changed, and they lowered their heads, not daring to look directly at the woman in the embroidered phoenix robe. In their impression, the king is so cold and majestic, with a sense of oppression, but now, it seems like a different person, and he even wants to dance for outsiders in person. Even if the king dares to dance, the civil and military officials present dare not watch. At this moment, they all lowered their heads tactfully, not daring to overstep the boundaries of the etiquette between the monarch and his subjects, fearing that they would be held accountable in the future. Swish! Li Wuji opened his eyes were bright and he looked refreshed. "Oh, why did you open your eyes? Isn't it better to turn a blind eye?" Hong Chenny joked. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Li Wuji said in awe. Appreciating the dance with a proper attitude is a respect for every dancer. As the pleasant and melodious music sounded, Dongfang Jing in the field began to dance gracefully. She was plump, and her every frown and smile was full of charm. Her eyes seemed to be able to speak, and her sight was almost inseparable from Yi Junlin, as if to seduce his soul. Who would have thought that the queen of the heavenly maiden kingdom could be so charming when dancing, and her noble status gave people a strong sense of contrast. Dongfang Jing seemed to have transformed into a young girl, charming, and frequently flirted with Yi Junlin, as if she was a female peacock with its tail spread out to court, and the two words were almost pasted on her forehead. Hiss! Seeing this, Yi Junlin took a breath of cold air, and the discomfort in his waist became more and more intense. Could it be that the other party has a special physique that can affect other people's kidneys? With this suspicion, Yi Junlin secretly sent a message to Hong Chenny. "Zhao Hong, are your kidneys okay?" "Hong Chenny, why ask such a strange question for no reason? I have always been strict with myself." "Okay," replied a master, "my kidneys are very good." "Then is your friend practicing some kind of waste-killing method? Can he specifically kill people's kidneys through the air?" Hong Chenny didn't know how to answer Yi Junlin's strange question. After finishing the dance, Dongfang Jing bowed gracefully and said softly, "Senior Yi, are you satisfied?" Yi Junlin wiped the sweat from his forehead. Satisfied, but a little bit of back pain." "Senior Yi, you are so humorous." Dongfang Jing's cheeks flushed with an alluring blush, thinking that Yi Junlin was teasing her, and secretly delighted. Looking at her mother's unusual behavior that violated common sense, her daughter Dongfang Mengyao sat blankly, with several questions in her mind. Who am I? Where am I? What should I do? The next second, Dongfang Mengyao suddenly woke up, and an incredible thought emerged in her heart. Could it be that you, mother, also? Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 283. C284 The strongest electric eel, Sea King. The imperial capital tonight was destined to be restless. Although the float festival was ruined by a sudden incident, it was undoubtedly the most exciting one in history. All the female cultivators applauded Yan Guangju's death, thinking that the Red Sect leader was acting on behalf of heaven. At the same time, they also talked about the Pingxi Palace, thinking that the Pingxi king should be restrained after experiencing this lesson. Pingxi Palace. There was a heavy and oppressive atmosphere. Logically speaking, this kind of palace would have many guards, servants, and servants. But now, it was empty everywhere, the wind was howling, and there was a bloody smell. On the back mountain, there was a huge body comparable to the demon Bo Gang sitting cross-legged, with blood-red eyes like the sea. She was ugly, her face was full of anger, and wisps of green smoke came out of her forehead. Around her, there were mutilated and almost broken corpses everywhere, as if they had experienced some kind of large-scale venting scene. That scene was as terrible as purgatory. If a person with poor psychological quality saw this, he would vomit on the spot and faint from fear. It is said that the king of Pingxi, who lost his beloved daughter, not only did not take revenge, but also embarrassed himself in public and returned home in disgrace. This was a huge blow to her spirit. So, she took out her anger on the rest of the people in the palace. In the eyes of the king of Pingxi, his daughter was killed, and she was forced to swallow her anger. These ants staying in the palace were of no help at all, so it would be better to kill them all. At least it can serve as a way to vent anger. Looking at the mirror formed by the blood, reflecting her terrifying and disgusting face, the king of Pingxi suddenly let out a creepy laugh, mixed with self-mockery. In fact, this is not her original appearance. A long time ago, she was also a woman with a graceful figure and beautiful appearance. At that time, she was extremely talented and her cultivation level improved very quickly. She was one of the few geniuses who practiced the goddess method. But later, she found that no matter how hard she tried, she could only be limited by a bottleneck and could not make any progress. It turned out that the goddess method she practiced was different from the goddess method practiced by the royal family. The goddess method practiced by the royal family was the orthodox inheritance, and it was also the fastest to improve the efficiency and strength of practice. In addition, no matter how talented or hardworking a person was, they would be limited by the goddess method of the civilian level or even the aristocratic level. Unwilling to stop there, she finally came to a conclusion after countless studies that she could reverse the goddess method in exchange for more powerful power. As a result, the price of reversal was easy weight gain and ugly appearance. But in order to achieve greater ambitions, she did it regardless of everything. Soon, her cultivation became more and more advanced, her strength became more and more terrifying, and finally she could even threaten the status of the king. Gradually, the increasingly perverted King Pingxi began to have a crazy idea, which was to overthrow the rule of the Dongfang royal family, establish a new Yan royal family, let her take charge of the Tianu kingdom, and then vigorously promote the reversed Tianu law. Let all the beautiful women in the world become as fat and ugly as her. For this reason, King Pingxi began to secretly collude with the Xi clan, intending to cooperate with the outside to bloodbath the Dongfang royal family and ascend the throne to become emperor soon. And the legitimate daughter she valued the most was the future princess. Originally thought that everything could go on as planned, but she didn't expect that reality gave her a heavy slap in the face. Her baby daughter was stabbed. She couldn't afford to offend the murderer now. After all, he was a Xuanxian-level existence. If she had the slightest intention of seeking revenge, she would be crushed to ashes on the spot. King Pingxi felt aggrieved and angry in his heart. If she wanted to take revenge, she had to rely on external forces. Although I lost my beloved daughter, the plan has not changed. I have made a deal with the Xi clan. When I get rid of the Dongfang family and take charge of the Tianu kingdom, I will divide half of the population and offer it to the Xi clan as tribute. Pingxi Wang said with a fierce and vicious look. In her eyes, everything can be traded. For example, she was aware of the signs of becoming ugly and fat by reversing the Tianu method, but she continued to practice for ambition. Later, because her image was too ugly, she was full of resentment and hated beautiful women. She wanted to let all women in the world taste the same pain as her. There have been some huge changes in the Sea Clan recently. In the past, I was able to lead elite soldiers and generals to resist the Sea Clan in the far west. Unfortunately, the times have changed. If this continues, the fall of Tianu Kingdom is a matter of time. In this case, it is also a wise move for me to abandon the dark and join the light. Ping Shi Huang narrowed his eyes and recalled that he met the messenger secretly sent by the Sea Clan in the far west a while ago. The other party only took out a token, which was in the shape of a conch. At first, she didn't take it seriously, until the conch burst out with an aura far beyond that of a Xuanxian. She realized with horror that this was a warning from a big shot of the Sea Clan. At that time, King Pingxi was shocked and frightened, and he was more determined to join the Sea Clan and seek power and usurp the throne. With such a powerful backer, are you still afraid of failure? HMPH, Hong Chenny, even if you are a Xuanxian, so what? Wait for me to report your news to the Sea Clan, and you will die. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being close to that bitch Dongfang Jing, and you didn't have the eyes to kill my daughter. King Pingxi smiled grimly, with a fierce light in his eyes. Come here, here. In the shadows, a purple-clothed fat woman with the aura of a beginner-level true immortal walked out. Seeing the murderous back of the king of Pingxi, her fat face trembled and her eyes showed fear. She was one of the staff secretly cultivated by the Pingxi Palace, and was also preparing for the rebellion in the future. Like the king of Pingxi, all the staff practiced the reversal of the goddess method, and at the same time had the image characteristics of obesity and ugliness. Go to the extreme west and give the king's letter to the Sea Clan envoy. Tell them that the plan will proceed as scheduled. Yes, Fengmingzhou. Most of them are located near the sea. The sea area here is called the North Sea area, where many sea clans live. For a long time, the Sea Clan has been at odds with the human race. In the long history, the Sea Clan has repeatedly invaded Fengmingzhou and fought with the local forces of Fengmingzhou. The feud between the two sides has a long history. At the bottom of the endless sea, it is like a brand new ocean world, where various sea clans live. In the palace, magnificent and full of style, several graceful clam girls were dancing gracefully. They were charming and graceful, dancing slowly and not too fast, showing their unique charm. At the top, several figures were facing each other, as if they were conducting some kind of negotiation. Sitting on the right was a blue-haired man who was transformed from an electric eel. His skin was silver, his eyes were full of lightning, and his aura was terrifying. His origin was from Ghana, a pure-blooded Ghana electric eel. At the same time, he was also the Sea King of the North Sea. Although there were several capable subordinates behind this electric eel king, all of whom were celestial-level strongmen, he was not relaxed at all, but looked nervous because the blonde young man sitting opposite him was very powerful. The blonde young man had a handsome face, a golden halo on his head, a pair of snow-white wings like an angel behind him, and a holy and flawless aura all over his body. Behind him, there were two followers, a burly tall man and a thin man, both with silver halos on their heads and snow-white wings. Do you have the qualifications to talk to me? What about the one behind you? Let it come out to see me. The blonde young man spoke slowly and steadily, revealing a sense of oppression that made the electric eel king on the opposite side feel cold all over. Don't be impatient. The sea whale ancestor is not convenient to come out to meet for special reasons. You can discuss anything with me. The electric eel king smiled. He was underestimated and did not dare to get angry, mainly because these three guys claimed to be from outside the domain, belonging to the divine court, from the heaven realm, and the light clan. Especially the blonde young man sitting there, the aura he exuded was too terrifying, vaguely even more than the closed-door sea whale ancestor. As for the sea whale ancestor, he was a resurrected person who had awakened not long ago. As the Sea King of the North Sea, he received advice from the old man and luckily broke through to become a Xuanxian. However, in front of the blonde young man, he was still as humble as an ant. Chapter 284. C285 Magical Conch. Haha, I told you, you don't have the qualifications. The blonde young man emphasized again unhurriedly, his tone containing contempt. You. The electric eel king's facial muscles twitched. He was an authentic Ghanaian giant electric eel. When had the Sea King in the Northern Sea suffered such injustice? But the person in front of him does have a lot of background, not to mention that the sea whale ancestor is in retreat, so he has no confidence to offend him. After thinking about it, the electric eel king gritted his teeth and said with a dry smile, Then please, everyone, please stay here for the time being and wait until the sea whale ancestor comes out of seclusion, and then we can talk to you in detail. The blonde young man thought for a moment and said, "That's it, that's all." After saying that, he stood up and left without even looking at the Electric Eel King. The other two followers followed suit and were loyal. Looking at the retreating figure, the Electric Eel King's face was extremely expressionless, and strands of terrifying thunder and lightning overflowed from his body, crackling. "Sea King, this birdman is too crazy. That's right, this is our territory. Who is that kid showing off his stinky face to? When the sea whale ancestor comes out of seclusion, let's see if he still dares to be so arrogant." The subordinates said angrily. The Electric Eel King waved his hands impatiently and said helplessly, "That's enough. That person has a great background and his cultivation is unpredictable. If you want to blame me, it's my fault that my Taoism is too shallow to catch people's attention." When the subordinates heard this, they gave up angrily. Thinking of the oppressive feeling faced by the blonde young man, the Electric Eel King still has lingering fears. He can only hope that the ancestor of the sea whale will come out of seclusion soon, otherwise his small temple will not be able to accommodate this giant Buddha. Report, there is a letter from the Pingxi Palace of the Heavenly Lady Kingdom. A red shrimp soldier respectfully presented the bamboo tube. Is there something new happening in the Heavenly Lady Kingdom? The Electric Eel King raised his hand and took the bamboo tube, untied the seal covering it, poured out the letter wrapped in the bamboo tube, opened it and looked at it intently. The leader of the fire demon cult, Red Demon Hong Chenny, is actually a guest in the palace. The Electric Eel King frowned. I have heard rumors about him. He is a ruthless demon giant. He also destroyed the immortal coalition sent by the Taoist forces a while ago. It is estimated that his cultivation level is 9 out of 10. It's the Xuanxian realm. If in the past, there was such a being sitting in the kingdom of Heavenly Lady, he really wouldn't dare to act rashly, but now, with the ancestor of the sea whale in the immortal king realm as his backer, the Electric Eel King is full of confidence. Thinking of this, the Electric Eel King relaxed his brows, leaned back, and said proudly, "No problem, the plan goes on as usual. Commander Tiger Shark, you will lead the team this time. You must help that fat woman to cleanse the palace with blood. After that, the kingdom of Heavenly Lady will be the territory of my sea clan." Behind him, a tall middle-aged man with gills on both sides of his cheeks, a pointed nose, and sharp teeth, clasped his fists respectfully and said, "Yes, Neptune." He is the leader of the Tiger Sharks, the strongest among his colleagues, and the most valued and capable subordinate of the Electric Eel King. But Neptune, that red demon is a powerful person at the Xuanxian level, so I'm afraid, Commander Tiger Shark looked troubled, vaguely worried. HMPH, I have a way to cure him. Take this token. In the hand of the Electric Eel King, there is a conch surrounded by fairy light, filled with a terrifying and vast aura. This is the magical conch given by the ancestor of the sea whale. The Tiger Shark commander exclaimed with red eyes. The Electric Eel King said from the channel, as long as you inject power, you can activate the powerful power of the magical conch. Not to mention the Xuanxian, even the immortal lord will die. The leader of Tiger Shark accepted it with sincerity. Thank you, King of the Sea, for the treasure. He has no intention of using this treasure to usurp the throne. Not to mention that this treasure is a disposable item, the current Sea King is highly regarded by the sea whale ancestor. If he kills him, will he still have a way to live in the future? Therefore, even if he has a winning treasure, the Tiger Shark commander does not dare to have any objections. The Electric Eel King sneered. If the Heavenly Lady Kingdom, the strongest immortal cultivating dynasty in Fengming Prefecture, can successfully capture it, the rest of the human forces will probably be in despair. Since the resurrection of the ancestor of the sea whale, the ambition of the Electric Eel King has never been greater. In the past, he only dared to dominate the North Sea and make small fuss in the coastal areas. But now, his goal is the entire human land. The first step is to annex Fengming Prefecture. It won't even take long for the fame of Ghana's giant electric eel to spread throughout the 108 states in the central region. Thinking of this, the Electric Eel King's smile became more and more unbridled, and he let out a classic villain laugh, Jehi. Several of his subordinates looked at each other and laughed heartily. Shut up, only I have this qualification. The Electric Eel King turned his head and glared at them. The men quickly shut up. Okay, you are Neptune, you have the final say. Corridor of the palace. Looking at the bright red corals and the fish swimming around outside, the blonde young man stood with his hands behind his hands, his handsome face cold and indifferent. His name is Satu Yan, he comes from the heaven world, he is the younger brother of the young leader of the Guangming clan, and his status is extremely prominent. Just from the golden halo above his head, you can see how noble his bloodline is. The Light tribe is not many in number, but it is the dominant race in the heaven world and is famous throughout the universe. It is worth mentioning that after each member of the Guangming tribe is born, he will have a halo on his head. From the color of the halo, he can distinguish his superiority and inferiority, and it also represents his future growth qualifications and combat effectiveness. The levels of halo from low to high are gray, cyan, blue, purple, silver, and gold. The gray halo is the lowest commoner, the cyan halo is barely qualified, the blue halo is the fighting member of the clan, the purple halo is the elder level, and the silver halo is a high-ranking figure. And the final golden halo is the most orthodox royal symbol of the Guangming tribe. In the Light clan, birth means everything, and the hierarchy is as strong as a pyramid. As the younger brother of the young leader of the Guangming clan, Satuyan has grown up under the glory of his elder brother. Therefore, no matter what he has done or how outstanding his achievements are, he cannot be compared with his elder brother in the clan. The outside world knows that Satu Kong, the young leader of the Guangming tribe, does not know about his younger brother Satuyan. Satuyan, who is arrogant and arrogant, had had enough of this kind of life. Until the Kunlun realm entered the recovery stage, all the races in the starry sky were staring at this big piece of fat, and the bright race also wanted to make plans in advance on it. Only then did the future come true. Opportunities to participate. Although most members of the family held objections to his participation in such a dangerous mission, under his resolute persistence, the family still compromised. In this way, Satuyan and his two personal guards managed to enter the central area of Kunlun realm by chance even though the Guangming clan spent a huge amount of money. Satuyan, who entered the central territory, noticed the existence of the resuscitators, so he wanted to cooperate with the Sea tribe in the North Sea territory to first get rid of the top strong men of the human race, and then slowly looked for the Stargate to open the passage, allowing the Light tribe to officially take over this place, world. Ever since Satuyan chose this path, he knew that he must succeed and make his reputation spread far and wide in the heaven world, no longer being overshadowed by his brother's light. Sir, do you think that smelly fish is hiding from us on purpose? He only sent a lowly electric eel to discuss cooperation with us. The two guards behind him said angrily. They felt very dissatisfied with the sea whale ancestors' avoidance. In the entire North Sea, the only thing that caught their eye was the immortal king-level sea whale. If the other party deliberately chose to avoid it, there was no need for them to stay any longer. Satuyan said calmly, that old guy, maybe he didn't have time to meet him for some reason. Let's just wait. As outsiders, we have to be patient. His tone was calm and gentle, and no emotional ups and downs could be heard. He seemed to have the overall situation under control and no pressure. The two guards secretly admired him and felt that the young patriarch's younger brother was indeed seriously underestimated by the outside world. They were also honored to be able to follow such a talented person with great potential and witness the other's glorious hegemony. The Kunlun realm, which used to be the second largest world in the divine court, was so powerful that even my heaven realm was suppressed. Who could have imagined that it would be reduced to such a desolate state? Satuyan seemed to have thought of something, and his tone was sarcastic. In the past, in Shenting, the heaven realm was second only to the Kunlun realm and was always in the third position. Later, Kunlun realm underwent great changes and the heaven realm took its place and became the second eldest son. Tisk, tisk, we are so far behind. Even if we return to our original heyday, we still can't compete with my current paradise. A tall man joked. The companion next to him said contemptuously. That's right, if those beings who transcended the immortal emperor had not restrained each other and reached a behind-the-scenes agreement, even if the Kunlun realm was protected by heaven, it would have been forcefully shattered and invaded by all the races in the starry sky. These words contain a horrifying amount of information. That's right, the Kunlun realm has been able to survive until now, and the immortal realm has been able to deal with it, all because the beings above the immortal emperor did not intervene. This involves the intricate relationship between Juyu and Shenting, but it is obvious that the Kunlun world is a big cake agreed upon by convention. Whoever can carve up the territory within the limits will belong to whom. From a small country with no diplomacy to a large country with no diplomacy, to the world's ownership, strength determines the right to speak. This is the bloody reality. Satuyan looked at the underwater world outside and said without sadness or joy, the Kunlun realm has fallen to this day, thanks to that lunatic who called Luan. He polluted the star core and caused the Kunlun realm to decline. I really don't know what Juyu will do. Conditions that make him willing to betray his ancestral star. I remember that after that incident happened, it immediately caused a sensation in the entire universe. Many worlds strictly guarded the star core, fearing that the same mistake would happen again. Now that I have come here, I will eliminate all threats and let the Light Tribe take over this place. At this point, Situ Yan's eyes were cold to the bone, and he said in a deliberately emphatic tone. Those who follow me will prosper, those who go against me will perish. He wanted to use the success of this plan to surpass his brother in reputation and have all the monks in the heaven recite his true name, Situ Yan. Chapter 285. C286 Battle between Mother and Daughter. Kingdom of Goddess. Since the palace feast ended, Yi Junlin and the others have been arranged in their respective palaces. As for the king's dance performance on the spot, all civil and military officials kept silent and completely blocked the news to avoid causing a sensation. After all, the identity of the king is sacred, and he is a being who is worshipped and admired by women all over the world. How can he do something like a dancing girl? It will seriously damage your personal image. Luohuang Palace. A charming woman sat in front of the dressing table, carefully looking at her dignified face with rosy white cheeks. Recalling the figure of the jade tree facing the wind in her mind, she couldn't help but feel her heart beating. The flaming red lips pursed lightly, and even the eyes seemed to be drawn. Dongfang Jing's heart was getting hotter and hotter, knowing that she had to strike while the iron was hot tonight and take the initiative. This kind of thing will change later. Master of the country, it's time to turn the tables. Outside the door, several maids each carried sandalwood trays filled with jade tablets, each representing the male favorite in the harem. If the king of the country turns over which card, the chosen male favorite will sleep with him. The 7 male concubines who were recognized as having good looks were all ranked at the front, because the king almost always picked one from them, and did not even look at the ones behind them. In the past, Dongfang Jing would have carefully turned over the cards to decide who would be her sleeping attendant tonight. But now, Dongfang Jing, who is obsessed with that person, has no interest in them at all. Take it back, I don't need it at all. A firm and calm voice came from the hall. Maid, what's going on? Could it be that the king has entered sage mode? Then, suppressing the suspicion in their hearts, the maids silently returned the way they came. They had mixed feelings about Dongfang Jing's actions. These days, there are really droughts and floods. It's not like servants like them, who can only have cucumbers for company late at night. Dongfang Jing put herself in good spirits and dressed up. Looking at herself, who was less majestic and indifferent and more charming and tender than usual, Dongfang Jing secretly looked forward to it. Senior Yi, you must be anxious too. Don't worry, I will serve you well tonight. Aha! With Dongfang Jing's cultivation level, it was very easy to leave the palace quietly without attracting attention. In the empty hall, only a faint fragrance remained in the air. It just so happened that at this moment, a woman in a pink skirt with 2 buns in her hair, a pink tie fluttering in the wind, and facial features as delicate as a doll came towards the Golden Phoenix Palace. She had her hands intertwined and was worried, her pretty face full of worry. Does mother also like Mr. Yi? But Mr. Yi is the one I fell in love with first. As a biological mother, do I still want to compete with my daughter for a man? Besides, she has so many men, and I just like this one, and she wants to steal mine. When she saw that her mother was interested in Mr. Yi, Dongfang Mengyao felt anxious and aggrieved. After all, one side is her closest relative, and the other side is her sweetheart. No matter which one she chooses, she will regret it for the rest of her life. God, why are you doing this to me? I just turned 18 this year. Dongfang Mengyao really didn't expect that she would face such a difficult choice. After much thought, Dongfang Mengyao decided to muster up the courage to go to Luohuang Palace to talk to her mother face to face. This is a contest between mother and daughter. Along the way, the guards recognized Dongfang Mengyao's identity and did not dare to stop her from entering. Dongfang Mengyao hesitated for a moment and knocked on the door gently. Mom, it's me. After waiting for a long time, there was no response. Mom, are you there? Dongfang Mengyao tried again. She tried to open the door and entered quietly. When she saw that there was no trace of her mother in the bedroom, her heart skipped a beat. An incredible idea came to my mind. Broken. Dongfang Mengyao almost cried. The thing she was most worried about happened. Is her sweetheart really going to be caught first by her mother? Subsequently, in the astonished eyes of the guards, the princess left Luohuang Palace in a hurry, as if she was going to catch an adulterer. Golden Phoenix Palace. Yi Junlin tossed and turned and couldn't sleep, his eyebrows were pounding, and he always felt that something big that would endanger his body was about to happen. It's strange. Now that I am in the realm of the immortal king, and I have the ability to become stronger when I encounter someone strong, who in the world can still harm me? Yi Junlin sat up, frowned and muttered. At this time, he noticed that there was a breath approaching quietly. Although the other party's movement skills were very sophisticated, they could not hide their immortal king-level perception. Who? Yi Junlin shouted coldly. Whoa, the body disappeared on the bed in an instant, and when it reappeared, it was already behind the curtain. Dong, fellow Taoist Dongfang. Yi Junlin's eyes widened. In front of him was a tall, mature and beautiful woman in a black dress, looking at him lovingly. Dongfang Jing's face is exquisitely made up, full of charm, her eyelashes are long, her beautiful eyes are like seducing people's soul, her skirt is slit to her waist, revealing her long and well-proportioned legs. Invisibly, the whole body exudes fatal temptation. Senior Yi, I'm here. Dongfang Jing's face was like a peach blossom, showing the shyness of a little girl. If this scene were known to the outside world, it would surely cause a landslide and tsunami-like shock. The dignified and majestic ruler of the Tianu kingdom would also have such a contrasting charming face in front of a man. Fellow Taoist Dongfang, what is your intention for visiting me late at night? Yi Junlin looked embarrassed. For some reason, his waist began to ache again, which made Yi Junlin very depressed. Senior Yi really asks knowingly. Dongfang Jing smiled softly, twisted her waist and slowly approached, and said softly, of course, I came here to ask you for Taoism. The fragrance was fragrant and the temperature rose. At this moment, Yi Junlin's waist hurt more strongly, as if his body was sending him a serious warning signal again. Stop, 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 if you want to ask for Taoism, you don't have to get so close. Yi Junlin gritted his teeth and stretched out his hand, motioning the other party to stand still. Dongfang Jing's expression showed a strange color. Senior Yi, what's wrong with you? Yi Junlin pretended to cough a few times and said seriously, when I talk about Taoism, I pay attention to the sense of boundaries. Dongfang Jing couldn't figure out the other party's thoughts, so he had to take the opportunity to say, may I ask Senior Yi, how many Taoism are you best at? Yi Junlin hesitated for a moment and said confidently, there are 3. Oh, which 3 are they specifically? Dongfang Jing suddenly became interested and wanted to see what kind of powerful Taoism this friend's master would say. Yi Junlin's eyes were like a square, and he said loudly, I have 3 ways, one is the doctrine of the mean, the second is the way of neutralization, and the third is the way of middle. In the other party's curious eyes, Yi Junlin realized that he was at a loss for words, but the arrow was on the string and had to be shot. He blurted out, the way of middle out. Hearing the 2 key words, Dongfang Jing was stunned at first, and then reacted, with a charming blush on her cheeks, and said coquettishly, Senior Yi, you are so bad. So, he was waiting for her here. It seems that Senior Yi is quite humorous. Yi Junlin realized that he had made a mistake and wanted to correct it immediately. However, just as he was about to speak, his lips were gently blocked by a finger. It turned out that Dongfang Jing had already approached him like a water snake, exhaling sweetly and saying, since Senior Yi is so proficient in Taoism, I would like to learn from you. First, let's start by talking about Taoism. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 286. C287 Yi Junlin. I am an upright person. Dongfang Jing's beautiful eyes flashed with excitement for the upcoming battle. She was experienced and knew all the weaknesses of men. If the silver-haired young man in front of her fell into her hands, she would have to use all her skills and fight for 10 days and half a month before she would give up. Sit and talk. Seeing the beautiful woman in black dress so close and fragrant, Yi Junlin's mind had begun to foresee a familiar action scene in advance. The atmosphere quickly became tense, making people dry and thirsty. At the same time, the pain in Yi Junlin's waist became more and more severe, reaching an unprecedented level. This was his own perception reminding him to be extremely careful of the beautiful woman in black dress in front of him. Once he fell, he would be severely squeezed. Senior Yi, why do you look so ugly? Dongfang Jing stretched out her hand in confusion and touched Yi Junlin's cheek. Wait, Yi Junlin resisted the discomfort in his body, grabbed Dongfang Jing's smooth jade-like hand, and said seriously, fellow Taoist Dongfang, please respect yourself. If your daughter knows this, it will destroy your image as a mother. Dongfang Jing was stunned, first burst out laughing, and then said unhappily, what does she, a little girl who just turned 18, know? Am I not qualified to pursue my own happiness just because I am her mother? Or, are you interested in my daughter? Speaking of this, Dongfang Jing exhaled like orchids, and her warm breath sprayed on Yi Junline's face, and said tentatively, in fact, if you want, we can serve you together. Such a fierce and ruthless statement can only appear in the open-minded Tianbi country. Because there are relatively few men here, there is often a phenomenon of multiple women sharing one man. If there is a good-looking boy walking outside, the women nearby can't wait to pounce on him and have something happen. Therefore, under this atmosphere of sharing men, Dongfang Jing would naturally make that suggestion, because this is a very common thing in Tianbi country. But in Yi Junline's view, a mother can say such words, which really shattered his three views. Good guy, others are fathers and sons fighting, and you are going to fight mothers and daughters. Yi Junline was shocked. Dongfang Daoyu, you misunderstood, that's not what I meant. Yi Junline looked embarrassed, turned his head to avoid the red-hot eyes, and his kidneys felt better. After a few times, Yi Junline also vaguely understood the abnormal reaction of his body. It turned out that it was his precious kidneys that were sending out warning signals. Yi Junline was terrified when he thought about it, and his scalp was numb. How terrifying is the strength of this beautiful woman in black skirt? If there is a fierce close combat, can his body withstand the inhumane destruction of the other party? Senior Yi, what do you mean by this? You are still hanging me up at this point. Dongfang Jing was anxious. If she could not beat him, she really wanted to force him. At this moment, an anxious female voice sounded outside, Master Yi. Master Yi, are you there? Is it Yao Yao? Dongfang Jing's face showed a strange color, and then her eyes became meaningful. Senior Yi, so you are waiting for everyone. Yi Junline, don't talk nonsense, be careful or I will sue you for defamation. Master Yi, since you didn't refuse, then I will come in. Dongfang Mengyao was in a hurry. At this moment, she didn't care so much. She pushed open the door and rushed in. As a result, the scene that came into her eyes made her dumbfounded on the spot. She said helplessly, Mom, you. Dongfang Mengyao didn't expect that what she worried about would come true after all. Her own mother wanted to occupy her sweetheart. Seeing her daughter rushing in rashly, Dongfang Jing was not panicked, and even said with envy, Yao Yao, you came just in time, Senior Yi is waiting for you. Yi Junline had a few black lines on his forehead. When did I wait for her? Wait for me. Dongfang Mengyao was stunned, and her pretty face flushed instantly. She actually didn't resist that kind of thing, but the problem was that her mother was also here, and she felt embarrassed just thinking about it. Or did Mr. Yi plan to come together? Thinking of this possibility, Dongfang Mengyao gritted her teeth and her little heart beat fast. Although this kind of thing is very common in Tianbi country, deep in her heart, she didn't want a third party to intervene in her lover, and the other party was her mother. As if she could see her daughter's difficulties, Dongfang Jing came over with a sigh and took her hand. Silly girl, mother understands your thoughts. How about this, mother lets you come first for the first time, and I will watch from the side, how about it? Dongfang Mengyao blushed and whispered, Mother, can you withdraw? My daughter really likes Mr. Yi. Dongfang Jing pulled the corner of her lips. This little girl still wants to eat alone. Yao Yao, it's not that mother doesn't want to fulfill you, but mother has never seen such a top-notch man in her life. Now there is a chance, can't you not seize it? If you miss it, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Dongfang Jing said in embarrassment. Dongfang Mengyao said anxiously, but, no buts, I am your mother, you have to listen to me. Dongfang Jing's face suddenly changed, and she said coldly with a majestic demeanor. Dongfang Mengyao was so scared that her heart trembled, and she lowered her head and was about to cry. At this time, she deeply realized that there was no room for negotiation if she was weak. She couldn't even protect her sweetheart. Seeing this, Dongfang Jing quickly restrained her strong momentum and comforted her in a soft voice. Yao Yao, mother has already given up her first time to you. You see, mother still cares about you. Don't stand there stupidly. Come on. Come over. Dongfang Jing led her daughter to Yi Junline and said with a wave of eyes, aren't you just waiting for her? Let's get started. Knowing that the matter was irreversible, Dongfang Mengyao raised her red face and breathed a little quickly, Senior Yi, I. Although she was still unwilling to do so, her mother had already taken the initiative to give up her position, so she was the first to get there. Looking at the expectant mother and daughter, Yi Junline's waist hurt even more, which made him realize that this was definitely a dangerous dragon's den and it was not that simple. Thoughts are turning. Yi Junline chose to follow the feedback given by his body, pretending to be upright and said. Nonsense. What we monks pursue is eternal life, how can we covet such pleasures between men and women? Go back and reflect. After saying that, before Dongfang's mother and daughter could react, Yi Junlin decisively waved his sleeves and sent them out of the palace, closing the door tightly. Dongfang Jing, Dongfang Mengyao, both mother and daughter were stunned. Is this a disguised rejection? Mom, could it be that young Master Yi dislikes us? Dongfang Mengyao was very disappointed. Sure enough, this kind of powerful vision is extremely high, and it is not something that a girl like her can covet. Dongfang Jing was also surprised. This was the first time she had seen such a thing. After thinking about it carefully, Dongfang Jing suddenly realized, with a look of deep admiration on her face, seniors are seniors and their consciousness is higher than ours. Yao Yao, this kind of man is not something we can touch. He has escaped from vulgar taste and is a man of noble conduct. Oh, what a pity. Dongfang Jing's face was filled with regret, and she left dejectedly. None of her 18 martial arts skills had a chance to be used. Is it not a pity? Dongfang Mengyao turned her head and glanced at the door, and said with a complicated expression, so that's it. After her sweet dream was shattered, Dongfang Mengyao turned around and left with a feeling of loss. Inside the house, Yi Junlin wiped his cold sweat and said, it was so dangerous, I almost fell for the bait. In fact, what he was most afraid of was Dongfang Jing. This woman was so terrifying that she was extremely harmful to his waist, and she was also the person who gave him the strongest warning. Such an experienced woman, if she was given the opportunity, wouldn't she squeeze herself to death? In order to save his waist, Yi Junlin had no choice but to reluctantly refuse. Yi Junlin returned to the bed. Not long after he lay down, he suddenly sat up again like an electric shock and murmured in a divergent way. Speaking of which, if you do something like that, will it also trigger the characteristic of getting stronger when you encounter something strong? If it's possible, then what should I be afraid of? Thinking of this possibility, Yi Junlin suddenly became excited. Hey, come back. Come back soon, I was just joking. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail minus 300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 287. C288 What's wrong with being a gigolo? In the far west, facing the endless North Sea, it was a sunny day with no clouds. Boats of all sizes floated on the sea, and the fishermen were almost all strong women with healthy wheat-colored skin, big shoulders and waists, and magnificent breasts. They all had cultivation, and the magic weapons they used were similar to nets and a trident made of special metal. As we all know, the North Sea is the world of the Sea Clan, and any large yellow croaker in it is a spirit, threatening to ordinary people. But from another perspective, this group of seafood is a delicious delicacy for the monks, and it is also good for themselves after eating. Moreover, the seafood caught in the North Sea can be used for trading, especially the demand for this aspect in restaurants is particularly large, which has created a large-scale and complete profit chain, which is a great temptation for the monks who are short of money. At this time, on the sea, the female cultivators who were fishing spread out their giant nets, which emitted a silver glow and quickly sank into the seabed. Many fish, shrimps, crabs and other seafood, after becoming spirits, knew that they were ambushed and struggled desperately to tear the nets apart. Unfortunately, these nets were special magic weapons. Even if a Jindan cultivator was tightly covered, he would be exhausted. The reason was that the more intense the struggle, the faster his own strength would be absorbed by the net. Obviously, this group of seafood trapped in the net could only watch themselves being caught. Crash! During this period, tons of spiritual fish jumped out of the water and hit the boats crazily. The boats shook, causing some female cultivators to panic. But some experienced female cultivators raised the trident in their hands, injected magic power into them, and threw them fiercely. Puff puff puff, the tridents were inserted into the spirit fish, releasing terrifying lightning. The spirit fish twitched all over, their eyes rolled back, and soon lost their attack power, falling heavily into the sea, stirring up huge waves. At this time, the female cultivators would recall the tridents and drag the tons of spirit fish onto the deck. Seeing that they had a good harvest today, the female cultivators who came out to fish all showed relieved and happy smiles. In their spare time, they would cast their eyes on one of the men, and then chat with each other about various interesting jokes, without hiding anything about men and women. Occasionally, there were bursts of laughter, and the air was filled with a happy atmosphere. The man had a bronze complexion, was tall and strong, had hard and knotted muscles like steel juice, had smooth facial lines, and looked handsome, and smiled with sunshine. He was the only male participating in the fishing. There was no doubt that he was the focus of the whole scene and the most beloved object of all the female cultivators. His name is Lee Dagon, just like his name. Dagon. Super Dagon. Because of this advantage, Lee Dagon is very popular in Tianvi country and thrives. In his early years, he was actually an outsider cultivator. Not only did his family fall into poverty, but he also had a mediocre talent for cultivation. He was destined to be the bottom of the cultivation world in this life. The worst thing was that he later got in trouble with a gang leader and was hunted down by his enemies. When he was desperate, Lee Dagon thought of joining Tianvi country. He had heard that this special country was most suitable for men who were willing to eat soft rice and had no lofty ambitions. With a good image and a strong body, Lee Dagon successfully registered in Tianvi country. Here, a man's cultivation is useless. In addition to being able to live longer, his combat effectiveness is so weak that it is not an advantage. What can be used as an advantage is a man's appearance and ability. As for what ability, those who understand will understand. Lee Dagon was at the bottom of the cultivation world outside, and he was submissive. Not to mention winning the favor of female cultivators, even if he spent all his belongings, the pretty female cultivators would not even look at him. But in Tianu country, Lee Dagon seemed to have come to heaven, attracting the favor and pursuit of local women. Wherever he went, he could have sex there. Many women tried to please him in every way to experience the joy of sex. Lee Dagon, who played to his strengths and avoided his weaknesses, lived a fulfilling life from then on, starting a legendary career of a small figure playing around Tianu country. However, over time, Lee Dagon felt that this kind of life became boring. He had no worries about food and drink among women, and he was rich in material conditions but spiritually very poor. He began to be fascinated by the sport of fishing. After all, fishing can rely on special magic weapons, not on one's own strength, and the more seafood he harvested, the more sense of accomplishment he had. In this way, Lee Dagon came to the coast every now and then to participate in fishing. The local female cultivators all knew him and were very enthusiastic about him. Standing on the expensive treasure ship, Lee Dagon skillfully pulled up a large net, which caught a lot of seafood. Seeing this, Lee Dagon showed a satisfied smile. "Brother Dagon, you are so awesome," some female cultivators nearby exclaimed in admiration, trying to attract the other party's attention. Lee Dagon is a hot celebrity in the local circle. All the women who have sex with him have a very high opinion of him, which has attracted more women to pursue and admire him. If you perform well and are lucky enough to be selected, it will be a great gift from heaven. Thank you for the compliment. Lee Dagon showed his signature warm smile, which fascinated the group of female cultivators and made their hearts pound. In the past, in the outside world, he despised men who lived on gigolos, but now, he just wants to say, "Oh, it smells so good." It's not that he can't afford hard meals, but that gigolos are more cost-effective. In this life, being able to live on women is actually a skill. Just then, the sky was overcast, the wind was strong, the sea was turbulent, and the waves were higher than one wave. Such a significant weather change made everyone who went out to sea to fish alert. "Sisters, it seems something is wrong. Is there a powerful sea tribe about to appear? If so, we have to report to the Pingxi army. For safety reasons, let's retreat first." Discussions arose. Everyone expressed concern about this scene. Although the North Sea is an excellent place for fishing, it is also a vortex of death. The sea tribes here are not vegetarians. They are also very interested in the flesh and blood of the human race. "Brother Dagon, retreat quickly. Why are you still there?" Some women saw that Lee Dagon's boat was still drifting on the sea and shouted anxiously. "Haha, what do you women know?" Strangely, facing the terrifying scene of the stormy waves, Lee Dagon was not afraid, but was aroused by the desire to win. He jumped to the bow, raised the trident high, and shouted excitedly. The bigger the wind and waves, the more expensive the fish. The voice was deafening and cut through the sky. Lee Dagon stood with his head held high, leaving behind the back of a strong man. Many women were conquered by his charm, and some women with hot heads also rushed up. "Dagon is right, the bigger the wind and waves, the more expensive the fish. Let's continue fishing." However, at this time, countless terrible auras broke out on the sea, and a huge sea tribe army jumped out of the water. The shrimp soldiers and crab generals controlled the surging waves with murderous faces. The leader of the tiger sharks stared at Lee Dagon not far away, and said with a cold smile, "Was it you, the human race, who was shouting slogans just now?" The tiger shark leader led 800,000 elite sea tribes to go out, but he heard someone shouting that the bigger the wind and waves, the more expensive the fish. This made the cruel tiger shark leader very angry. Who is it? How dare he be so bold? Fuck. Lee Dagon was so scared that his scalp was numb. He was just talking nonsense at the moment. There was no need to cause a fatal disaster, right? You, don't come over. If you come over again, I will kill all these fish and shrimps. Lee Dagon realized that he was in danger, and in a panic, he wanted to threaten the tiger shark leader with the seafood he caught. In Lee Dagon's subconscious, the essence of the sea tribe is seafood. So many compatriots died, and the other party must feel heartbroken. Window. _Taboola equals window. _Taboola. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Taboola below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 288. C289 Life is like a play, it all depends on acting skills. Lee Dagon passed away peacefully. Just as he was uttering the harsh words, the tiger shark commander opened his bloody mouth without saying a word, swallowing up the people in the boat, including thousands of seafood. Brother Dagon. Witnessing this scene, the women cried out in grief. The tiger shark commander sneered, "Stupid thing, you dare to threaten me with some small fish and shrimps, which I usually use as appetizers. Even the human race has killed each other, not to mention the more barbaric sea tribe. Big fish eat small fish eat shrimps, this is the unchanging rule from ancient times to the present. Little ones, follow me to kill the palace of Tianu Kingdom." The tiger shark commander's eyes were full of murderous light, and he led the mighty shrimp soldiers and crab generals straight to the land. The seafood is going crazy. Everyone, run, the coastal area is in chaos, where is the Pingxi army? You stinky shark swallowed Brother Dagon, I'm going to fight you. The far west was in chaos, with cries and shouts coming one after another. What shocked countless women was that the Pingxi army, which was responsible for guarding the coast on weekdays, was indifferent to this, and even acted as a guide, constantly opening the teleportation formation to teleport the 800,000 sea tribe army to the imperial capital in batches. The sky is dead, and the Yan family should be established. The contemporary king is obsessed with male beauty, incompetent, and oppresses tens of millions of female compatriots. Today, the king of Pingxi obeys the will of heaven and rises up to fight. At the same time, the roars of the staff came from the Pingxi palace, and instantly spread throughout the vast imperial capital. The people of the imperial capital were stunned at first, and then shocked. Although there have been rumors among the people that the king of Pingxi has evil intentions and wants to replace him, after the incident with the Red Leader, many people think that the king of Pingxi will learn his lesson and restrain himself. Unexpectedly, just a few days later, the king of Pingxi has openly rebelled. This stinky fat woman is too arrogant. Wait, look, it's the sea tribe. A female cultivator seemed to see something and shouted in horror. Everyone looked over, their eyes trembling in disbelief. The 800,000 strong sea tribe army appeared in the imperial capital, riding on the surging waves. Even the air was filled with a strong smell of seafood. King of Pingxi, today my sea tribe will help you seize power. Don't forget who gave you all this in the future. The tiger shark leader put his hands behind his back and grinned. Boom! In the Pingxi palace, a terrifying evil spirit rose like a wolf smoke. A fat figure that looked like a demon appeared with a murderous look on his face. His pitch-black cloak fluttered, and the surrounding void was distorted, presenting a black hole. As King Pingxi opened and closed his eyes, two blood-red rays of light split the sky, and a cold voice with uncontrollable killing intent sounded. The Sea Clan's kindness is in my heart. Please follow me to the palace to kill the tyrant Dongfang Jing and the red devil Hong Chenny. Okay. The tiger shark leader nodded, his eyes swept over the countless trembling women in the imperial capital, his eyes flashing with bloodthirstiness. After the matter is done, I want to have a full meal on the spot, do you have any objection? Just enjoy it, fellow Taoist. King Pingxi didn't care about the lives of others. She just wanted to realize her ambitions and avenge her dead daughter. After that, King Pingxi led the trained staff and rushed to the palace aggressively. Seeing this, everyone was shocked and angry. The king of Pingxi not only wanted to rebel, but also colluded with the sea tribe. What a heinous act! Sisters, swear to live and die with the king. That stinky fat woman is not worthy of leading us. That's right. Anyway, we will die anyway, so we might as well fight with these shrimp soldiers and crab generals. Yes, fight! Shouts of killing rang out everywhere in the imperial capital. The king of Pingxi and the sea tribe cooperated to seek power and usurp the throne, which directly aroused the anger of the people in the imperial capital. They could not accept that the Tianu kingdom would be ruled by such a crazy person. At this moment, the palace was shaken. The palace maids and guards were all horrified. They didn't expect the king of Pingxi to be so bold and dared to rebel at such a critical moment. Boom! The king of Pingxi descended over the palace and roared, "Dongfang Jing, you bitch, get out and die for me." The roar was like a rolling sound wave, spreading in all directions. "King of Pingxi, I am really disappointed in you." A majestic and indifferent voice sounded. Dongfang Jing was wearing a brocade phoenix robe, with a golden jade crown on her head. Her eyebrows were full of fierceness, and she was surrounded by gorgeous fairy light. She appeared in the sky and confronted the king of Pingxi from a distance. "I thought that although you were arrogant and unreasonable, you still had a bottom line. As a result, you colluded with the Sea clan to invade the palace. This shameless behavior will be nailed to the pillar of shame. Dongfang Jing, don't try to be so mean to me. Since ancient times, the winners are the kings and the losers are the bandits. In terms of ability, how am I inferior to you? This position of the king should be returned to me." Pingxi King sneered. "Also, where is your backer? Isn't he scared and hiding? He dared to kill my daughter and humiliate me that day. This time, he must pay with blood. Stinky fat woman, are you looking for me?" Hong Chenny stepped out with a playful look on his face. Seeing this man, the fat face of King Pingxi trembled, and he swallowed saliva with a gurgling sound in his throat. He quickly looked at the tiger shark commander. "Dao Yu, this guy is here. Please kill him." Hong Chenny said disdainfully. "With this celestial level of cultivation, how can you fight with me?" King Pingxi fell silent. In fact, she also saw that the tiger shark commander's cultivation was that of a top-level immortal, and his combat power was probably equal to hers. However, if he faced a red demon of the Xuanxian level, it would be quite risky. But since he dared to come, he must have something to rely on. After all, the sea race today can no longer be judged by common sense. The tiger shark commander's mouth cracked into an exaggerated arc, and a faint smell of blood came out of his mouth, and his eyes were full of playfulness. "Human race, do you really think I have no ability?" As soon as the voice fell, in the hands of the tiger shark commander, there was an extra sky blue conch, filled with an unfathomable breath. Hong Chenny's eyelids jumped, and this thing made him feel dangerous. "This is a magical conch, let alone you are a Xuanxian, even if you are a fairy king, you will die," the tiger shark commander said in a conceited tone. The king of Pingxi was ecstatic, and she really hugged the right thigh. As the saying goes, a leopard can be seen from a tube, and the sea race is destined to rule Fengmingzhou. Magical conch. Not far away, Yi Junlin, who was out for a stroll, heard this name and his face suddenly became strange. Li Wuji ran over excitedly, pointing to the sky and said excitedly, "Master, there are so many seafood." Yi Junlin looked at the shrimp soldiers and crab generals in the sky, his eyes shining, and said, "Just right, I haven't had a seafood feast for a long time." Die. At this moment, the tiger shark leader roared, infusing the surging fairy power into the conch, and the conch instantly burst out with infinite light. Woo woo woo. The sound of the conch was very low and spread across the sky. Swish. Afterwards, the terrifying blue energy was released from the conch, making everyone in the imperial capital tremble in their hearts and panic. The sky was eclipsed, as if the sky was about to collapse. The scene was extremely terrifying. This power, Dongfang Jing's face was pale. In front of this powerful power, she felt as small as an ant. When did the Sea clan become so powerful? Dongfang Jing finally understood why the king of Pingxi dared to do this. Not good. Hong Chenny's scalp tingled. This power far exceeded the scope of Xuanxian or even Shanjin. The one behind the scenes was obviously a Shanwang-level existence. Just when Hong Chenny was about to use the Red Lotus Karma Fire and prepare to fight hard, a figure in black with white hair appeared in front of him. Its master. Seeing this majestic back, Hong Chenny's panic calmed down and knew that he just had to watch the show next. This magical conch is interesting. Seeing the terrifying blue shock wave sweeping over, Yi Junlin stretched out his hand with interest. Ding, the host is detected to be attacked by an enemy of the 5th level of Shanwang. Now the passive effect of getting stronger when encountering a strong enemy is triggered, and the cultivation of the 6th level of Shanwang is obtained. Closing square bracket. In his mind, the system prompt sounded wittily. Boom. A more powerful momentum than before burst out from Yi Junlin, which was about to make the sun and the moon pale in comparison and the mountains and rivers tremble. Then, this surging blue shock wave was wiped out by Yi Junlin's palm, and the terrible aura disappeared. The whole audience was silent. Everyone was stunned. Senior Yi, it's an immortal king. Dongfang Jing, who suddenly realized something from the other party's brief attack just now, murmured in shock. Dongfang Jing had guessed about Yi Junline's cultivation before. She thought that judging him as an immortal king was already very bold, but she didn't expect it to be too conservative. Immortal king, this is an immortal king. Dongfang Jing was puzzled. Why would someone cultivate so fast? Since the great changes in the world, has the outside world become so outrageous? Daughter Dongfang Mengyao looked up at the black figure with a complicated expression. Her mother was right. This kind of person was not something they could reach. Hong Chenny and the others seemed calm and thought it was a routine operation. Tiger Shark Commander was stunned. Is this really true? The magical conch given by the sea whale ancestor was cracked by this person. The Tiger Shark Commander was terrified and sweaty. Being able to easily resist the power of the conch also shows that the other party is a supreme being comparable to the sea whale ancestor. It's over, the information is wrong. The Tiger Shark Commander glared at the king of Pingxi and said hatefully, "Stinky fat woman, you are doing it on purpose, right? Knowing that there is such a powerful person sitting in the palace, you still let me lead the elite soldiers of the Sea clan to die." The king of Pingxi was confused, and his brain seemed to be down. This man is so powerful. It seems that the red demon called him master just now. But now, things have come to this point. Out of the instinct of survival, the king of Pingxi can only make the best of it. Ahahaha. The king of Pingxi raised his head and laughed loudly, looking at the Tiger Shark Commander with a look full of sarcasm, sneering. Didn't expect it. From the beginning to the end, you see people have been calculated by this king. I deliberately led you here, just to catch you all in one fell swoop. Then, Wang Dongfang Jing of Pingxi bowed and said solemnly, "King, I have offended you with my words before, but it was just a joke. Please forgive me." Tiger Shark Commander. No, you stinky fat woman, you are serious. The conscience of the human race is too bad. Chapter 289. C290. What a good name. Seeing the sudden reversal, everyone was almost lost. Countless female cultivators looked confused. Could this rebellion be a trap set by King Pingxi for the High Clan? If so, that's a great achievement. The staff looked at each other, not expecting this result. Among them, one of the staff was more clever. He quickly followed King Pingxi's words and said with emotion, "To the Lord of the Kingdom, this is to invite you to enter the urn. It is a strategy that we have discussed together. I hope you can understand it clearly." Yes. Companions understood the meaning and nodded wildly like chickens pecking at rice. Seeing this, Commander Tiger Shark was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He stretched out his hand and pointed at King Pingxi tremblingly, "Smelly fat woman, how dare you play tricks on us, the Sea Clan?" King Pingxi snorted coldly and squinted. "You don't really think that I want to cooperate with you, do you? Stop dreaming." She looked upright, but actually she was sweating profusely on her back. She didn't know that things would develop to this point, but now she had no choice but to hope that she could get over it. Hong Chenny crossed her arms and sneered, "Keep pretending, do you think we will believe you with such despicable acting skills?" King Ping's eyes expression was stiff and he forced out an extremely ugly smile. "Red leader, as the saying goes, you have to do a full show. If I have offended you in the past, please forgive me, but I am loyal to the Heavenly Lady Kingdom and will never collude with the Sea Clan. Those who seek power and usurp the throne." "Enough," Dongfang Jing said disgustedly. "King Pingxi, I have underestimated your limits. You dare to make up lies when you are about to die. Do you think everyone here is a 3-year-old child?" Hearing this, King Pingxi knew that his lie had been exposed. He completely tore off the hypocritical face and roared angrily. "Dongfang Jing, you shameless bitch, what qualifications do you have to criticize me? I have suffered so much and endured so many sins to get to where I am today. The fat and ugly look I have now is all because of you. Given by the Dongfang clan. I hate it. I hate that God has no eyes. Why are all the women in this world prettier than me? They all die. King Pingxi lost control of his emotions, roared again and quickly left the palace towards the outside with burning life. His body was covered with spider web-like broken marks, exuding a destructive and terrifying aura. No, this rebel is going to blow himself up. Dongfang Jing was shocked and angry. The self-destruction of a top-level immortal is enough to cause huge destructive power, and the entire imperial city will be reduced to ashes. Boom. The words just fell. King Pingxi blew himself up. The broken body burst out with a light that was more dazzling than the sun, containing violent power that swept across all directions and wanted to devour all living beings. Just when countless people were feeling frightened and desperate to welcome death, the explosive energy light group suddenly solidified, and then was crazily compressed at a speed visible to the naked eye until it completely disappeared into the air. It was as if the scene just now had never happened. Who are you looking down on when you self-destruct in front of me? It was Yi Junlin who took action. Under normal circumstances, if a top-level celestial immortal succeeds in self-destruction, even the immortal lord can only passively resist it, but in front of a real immortal king-level powerhouse, the celestial immortal's self-destruction is as ridiculous as playing tricks. There was envy in Hong Chenyi's eyes. After all, this kind of operation was something he couldn't do so far. Seeing the death of King Pingxi, the staff no longer had the idea of resisting. They were so frightened that they fell to their knees one by one, crying and saying, "Please, Lord, have mercy. Come here, throw them into the sky prison. Choose a day to execute them." Dongfang Jing said coldly. Later, Aunt Mei appeared with a group of worshippers and detained all the staff of Prince Pingxi's palace. These fat and ugly women all shed tears at this moment and regretted it. After all, they originally chose to seek refuge with King Pingxi and were willing to practice the reversal of the heavenly maiden dharma, sacrificing their appearance and figure in order to achieve hegemony and gain titles. Unexpectedly, trying to fetch water from a bamboo basket was in vain. When he saw King Pingxi detonating himself and still being easily wiped out by Yi Junlin, the fear in Commander Tiger Shark's heart was infinitely magnified. It's so scary, this kind of existence is simply omnipotent. Senior, please tell me what you have to say. In fact, it was all a misunderstanding. Commander Tiger Shark said in a trembling voice. Yi Junlin looked him up and down and said, "I can see that your body is a shark." "Yes, I am the boss of the family, and my real name is Shark Bai." Leader Tiger Shark said tremblingly. "Not bad, this name is very spiritual." Yi Junlin praised. "Thank you for the compliment, Senior." Commander Tiger Shark thought there was something going on and was overjoyed. "Shark Wall, have you ever heard of a famous dish?" "What? It's called shark fin." The Tiger Shark leader was stunned and felt cold all over his body. But out of survival instinct, he immediately transformed into his true form on the spot. The true form was an extremely large tiger shark, exuding a terrifying and sinister aura, as if it was about to devour countless living beings when it opened its mouth. The next second, the tiger shark shook its body, and 4 light groups surrounded by milky white light were sent to Yi Junlin. Within each light group, there are crystal-clear shark fins as thin as cicada wings. "Senior, I will give you the shark fins you want. Please have a lot of them and give Shark Bai a chance to survive." The tiger shark commander, who had lost 4 shark fins, looked extremely weak, as if his body had been hollowed out. Seeing Yi Junlin want to eat shark fins, he was forced into a corner and offered them to him without hesitation, just to have a chance to survive. "Shabi, you are doing this, it is hard for me to refuse your kindness." Yi Junlin said meaningfully. "As long as the senior is satisfied, Shabi will do anything." The tiger shark commander's eyes were full of tears, he knew that life and death were at this moment. "Hey, you go, remember it next time, don't just take a broken conch and come out to act recklessly, you know, there are people who are better than you, and there are heavens beyond heaven." Yi Junlin waved his hand. "Thank you for your kindness, senior. Your great kindness, Shabi will remember it in my heart for the rest of my life." The tiger shark commander was in tears and said excitedly. After saying that, he ran away without looking back, leaving behind even the 800,000 shrimp soldiers and crab generals. The tiger shark commander who survived the disaster was only thinking about leaving this place, and then hurried back to the North Sea Palace to report the matter to the Sea King. Looking at the other parties disappearing back, Yi Junlin sneered, "This shark wall is really a fool." What the tiger shark commander didn't know was that when he turned around and left, Yi Junlin had already branded him with a spell. As long as the other party returned all the way back to the Sea Clan's lair, the path would be completely mastered by Yi Junlin. The reason why he was so concerned was mainly due to the magical conch that the tiger shark commander took out, because from the brief fight just now, Yi Junlin knew that the owner behind the conch was definitely a fairy king level existence. I'm afraid his cultivation is not just as simple as the 5th level of the fairy king. Since this wave of experience packs came to the door, Yi Junlin had no right to stop. After all, you have to get the wool thoroughly. And Yi Junlin guessed that the fairy king behind the Sea Clan should be one of the resurrectors mentioned by Shuitu before. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but become curious, how many resurrectors are there in the Kunlun world at present? Chapter 290, C291 Woohoo, I am incomplete. Everyone, now that we have the most delicious shark fins, we just need a seafood feast. Yi Junlin, who had adjusted his thinking, said seriously. Hong Chenny understood. Master, I will roast them now. Then, he mobilized the surging immortal power and released a blazing fire with both hands. The flames swept across the vast sky and instantly enveloped 800,000 sea creatures. Ah! Waves of screams echoed in the sky, making people's scalps numb. Hong Chenny is proficient in practice and controls the heat very skillfully. Otherwise, with his strength comparable to that of an immortal king, he would have burned these shrimp soldiers and crab generals to ashes long ago. Soon, a smell of cooked seafood spread, which could be smelled from a long distance, and it was fragrant. The children next door were crying with greed. Hey, 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 how can we not cut so many seafood well? Li Wuji wanted to take the opportunity to show off, holding a long sword and drawing it out of the sheath. The clanging sound was crisp and pleasant. Li Wuji rode the wind, his figure was graceful and elegant, his wrist turned quickly, and the brilliant blade light crisscrossed. Swish swish swish, the cooked shrimps and crabs were cut into pieces, and the cuts were neat and uniform, which was enough to show the superb knife skills. Next, in the shocked eyes of countless people, the imperial capital seemed to have an unprecedented seafood rain, and the scene was very spectacular. Great, free seafood feast. Ha ha ha, I like lobster the most. Oh my god, this crab roe is so plump. Thank you for the gift from the sea. Countless women cheered and welcomed this seafood feast with great joy. As long as they grabbed it, they would eat it on the spot. The fragrance of seafood was everywhere, and everyone ate happily and gobbled it up. Of course, a small part was taken back by Yi Junlin, and this amount was just enough for them to eat. Xiaoxi, Shu Shu is here, these seafoods are all in your hands. Okay, then, Bai Xiaoxi, who was the chef in the team, started to process these well-cooked seafoods for the second time, striving for perfection and making all kinds of fresh dishes. But the most delicious ones were the 4 shark fins. As we all know, shark fins are one of the famous top delicacies. It is the filamentous cartilage in shark fins, which has extremely high nutritional value and is rich in collagen, protein and calcium. And the essence of the shark fins cut out by the fairy-level tiger shark spirit is simply unimaginable. Not only is it of great benefit to countless practitioners, but the taste of the cooked ones is also unique. Bai Xiaoxi, who is proficient in various cooking techniques, handled these 4 top-quality shark fins very well, and his cooking skills were perfect and skillful. Not long after, a series of aromas came to the nose, making people salivate. What came into view was, there are 4 famous dishes about shark fin: clear soup shark fin, braised shark fin, crab roe shark fin, and casserole shark fin. Everyone gathered around and swallowed their saliva. After all, this is the best dish for this seafood feast. Well, master, eat first. Li Wuji resisted the urge to move his chopsticks and said seriously. Master, you must taste this kind of shark fin. Yi Junlin picked up the chopsticks, picked up a small piece of shark fin that was as thin as a cicada's wing and gave off a warm and shiny luster, and gently put it into his mouth and chewed slowly. In an instant, an unprecedented deliciousness hit the taste buds, making Yi Junlin feel light and transparent all over, and his mouth and nose sprayed with rays of light, and the fragrance spread. Amazing, Yi Junlin exclaimed sincerely. It is indeed shark fin, it is simply a rare and exquisite delicacy in the world. Li Wuji couldn't wait to pick up his chopsticks. When the shark fin entered his mouth, his lips and teeth were fragrant, and his taste buds almost exploded, as if his soul was cleansed. Fuck, 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 Li Wuji was savoring the dish endlessly. After he reacted, he excitedly said 4 times, expressing his most authentic evaluation of this dish. Tisk tisk, this is what it means to be uneducated. Hong Chenny shook his head, with a bit of pity in his eyes. Come on, I want to see how educated you are. Li Wuji said unconvinced. Country bumpkin, watch this. Hong Chenny snorted coldly, picked up the cut pieces of shark fin and put them in his mouth. Although he had already made enough psychological preparations, he was still shocked by such deliciousness. At this time, he couldn't even use words to describe the feeling of eating it in his mouth. There were only a few words left in his mind. Delicious to the point of taking off. Say it, why don't you say it? You are not as good as me. At least I can say fuck. Li Wuji said proudly. Hong Chenny was speechless. Look at how you, a rough man, are so arrogant. Please, can we try it? Dongfang Jing and her daughter looked at the shark fin on the plate and wanted to taste it. Sure, come and try my Xiaoxi's cooking skills. Yi Junlin said with a smile. Thank you. Dongfang Mengyao couldn't hold back any longer. She picked up the chopsticks and put a piece of shark fin into her cherry mouth. Suddenly, her whole body seemed to be electrocuted. Her eyes became blurred and her breathing became extremely rapid. She couldn't help but say, "Ah, just ask, what kind of delicacy is this?" Just one piece made her reach the peak. After realizing that she had lost her composure, Dongfang Mengyao blushed and said shyly, "Sorry, it's so delicious, so." "I can understand." Yi Junlin nodded. Looking at her daughter's performance, Dongfang Jing was skeptical and secretly said, "Is it so exaggerated?" Then, she carefully picked up the shark fin and put it into her mouth to taste it carefully. Oh, as a result, Dongfang Jing's eyes almost rolled back, her legs were trembling, and her face was flushed, as if she had received a hearty nourishment. "Mom, are you okay?" Dongfang Mengyao hurriedly shook her mother's arm and said anxiously. Not long after, Dongfang Jing got out of the state just now. Looking at the people who showed strange colors on the scene, she said very embarrassedly, "Sorry, I lost my composure. To be honest, I have eaten all kinds of delicacies in my life, but it is the first time I can eat such exquisite food." Dongfang Jing gave the highest evaluation of this dish in her life. As she said, she looked at the short silver-haired lowly and said admiringly, "This girl, your cooking skills are very good, and the group of imperial chefs in the imperial kitchen can't compare at all. You know, Dongfang Jing has always had a high standard for food, so those who can serve as imperial chefs in the imperial kitchen are all top spiritual chefs. But if compared with Bai Shaoxi, even if they are added together, they will be killed in seconds. Because she has already left the category of spiritual chefs and is a serious fairy chef." "Thank you." Facing the compliment, Bai Shaoxi scratched her head embarrassedly, and her heart was extremely excited. "Everyone, don't be stunned, eat it while it's hot." Yi Junlin greeted. Okay, everyone was in a good mood and enjoyed this sumptuous seafood feast. The atmosphere was lively and full of laughter. The king of Pingxi never dreamed that his carefully planned rebellion plan would eventually end with the entire imperial capital eating a feast. Life is really unpredictable. The big intestines are wrapped in the small intestines. The North Sea, endless seabed, king of the sea, how is the strength? Not bad, not bad, use a little more strength, I will treat you well tonight. Hate it. In the luxurious palace, the king of electric eels was enjoying the massage of several clam girls, with a comfortable smile on his face. I don't know what's going on with Tiger Shark Commander now, it should be smooth. You're kidding, he has a magical conch given by the king, which can kill even immortal level creatures, who can do anything to him outside. Yes, taking into account the time, it is estimated that the Tianu kingdom has surrendered completely, and Tiger Shark Commander is eating those women to satisfy his cravings. I envy you, those women are so tender and delicate, they must taste great. Hee hee, wait for him to come back, let's ask him. Not far away, several commanders were communicating with each other, and they all agreed that Tiger Shark Commander could definitely capture Tianu Kingdom smoothly. After all, compared with the magical conch, what is a mere red demon? As long as you dare to show up, you will die. It's stable, this wave is stable. However, at this time, a disheveled figure ran over in a panic, his expression was full of panic, as if he had escaped from death. Tiger Shark Commander, what are you doing? Other colleagues were in doubt. When he saw the electric eel king, the tiger shark leader's emotions exploded instantly, big crystal tears slid down his face, and he cried out with all his might, "Sea King! Sea King!" The electric eel king was startled, and after seeing who was coming, he said angrily, "Shark Wall! What's wrong with you? Have you completed the mission?" Woo woo woo! The tiger shark leader ran to him and knelt on the ground, crying, with unspeakable words, "You don't know, I am incomplete. Window. _Tabula equals window. _Tabula. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix." Chapter 291. C292 The Sea Whale Patriarch comes out of retreat. The electric eel king's eyes widened and his expression turned strange. You don't have that anymore, do you? Several young and beautiful river clam girls looked at Commander Tiger Shark up and down with strange eyes. The leader of the tiger shark said sadly, "It's gone. It's really gone. This is a very precious thing for our shark family." Hiss. The electric eel king gasped, his eyes showing a little more sympathy. "Commander Tiger Shark, didn't you lead 800,000 elite soldiers of the Sea Clan to crusade against the Heavenly Lady Kingdom? How could we end up in such a situation?" the colleagues asked in surprise. When mentioning this matter, Commander Tiger Shark said angrily, "The information is wrong. Not only is the red demon sitting in the palace of Tianu Kingdom, but also his master. His master is a powerful human race who can destroy the magical conch with just a raise of his hand. And in the end King Pingxi blew himself up, and all 800,000 elite soldiers of the Hai clan were wiped out. What did you say? Everyone was shocked and frightened by the news. You know, that magical conch is a treasure given by the ancestor of the sea whale, and it contains the destructive power of an immortal king. However, it was easily diffused by the powerful human race. This shows that his cultivation is comparable to that of the sea whale ancestor. This is impossible. The electric eel king found it difficult to accept this fact, with large beads of sweat pouring out of his forehead and his sharp teeth biting tightly. The human race actually has such a terrifying existence. Fortunately, he had a dream of dominating the land before. Wait, how could he let you go? The electric eel king thought of something and stared coldly at the tiger shark commander who had escaped from death. So many brothers have lost their lives, why can you come back alive? When something goes wrong, there must be a monster. In the air, a fierce murderous intention filled the air. The tiger shark commander realized something was wrong and murmured, "Listen to my explanation, it's all because of the great human being who valued the most precious thing in me that he agreed to let me go." You mean, that thing of yours was taken away by him? The electric eel king was startled, and a chill ran down his back. Well, Commander Tiger Shark's eyes were red, as if he was a wronged little daughter-in-law. But, why does he want that thing of yours? The electric eel king's cerebellum almost shrank, and he felt that he should re-examine the human race. Is this not some kind of perverted collecting habit? Hearing this, the tiger shark commander showed pain on his face, covering his face and crying, "Ooh, it seems that I want to make it into a delicacy, eat it." The electric eel king couldn't help but shudder, and frantically raised his hips to retract his anus, with a look of horror on his face. The other commanders turned pale with fear and subconsciously covered their crotches. Are humans so scary? Eat everything. If this is the case, if it falls into their hands one day, it would be better to die. Looking at his heartbroken subordinate, the electric eel king sighed, patted his shoulder sympathetically, and comforted. Shark Wall, I can understand your pain, but since that thing is gone, just take it easy. Just don't touch the female shark spirit from now on. Be strong. The crying stopped abruptly. The tiger shark leader raised his head blankly. Sea King, why don't I touch the female shark spirit? I am a normal male shark. The problem is, if you don't have that thing, how can you do it? With your tongue. The electric eel king was angry. Hee. Several river clam girls covered their mouths and smiled sweetly, as if they understood instantly. The tiger shark commander was very depressed. Sea King, have you misunderstood? What I just said was shark fins. All 4 shark fins on my body were taken away by the human race. They must have eaten them. That is the most precious thing in our body as a shark clan. The tiger shark leader said unwillingly. Electric eel king, I have been making trouble for a long time because I have a dirty mind. You can do it, you really can. No wonder the name is Shark Wall, it really lives up to its name. That's it. The other commanders breathed a sigh of relief and let go of their hands with lingering fear. Sea King, what should we do now? Do we have to swallow this bad breath? One of his men asked. You ask me, who the hell am I going to ask? The electric eel king was very angry. The bright lightning in his eyes continued to flow, and wisps of lightning traveled on the surface of his skin. The magical conch was already his greatest asset, yet it was easily resolved by that powerful human being. It was undoubtedly a kick to the iron plate. It hurts like hell. Rumble. At this time, there was a violent shaking in the palace. Not only the palace, but also countless cities located deep under the sea were affected by this earthquake-like fluctuation. Many members of the sea tribe were frightened and panicked. They vaguely sensed the appearance of some ancient and powerful existence, and subconsciously bowed in a certain direction. Great, the ancestor of the sea whale is out of seclusion. The electric eel king sensed a familiar aura and said ecstatically. Only one can break the current deadlock. In a cave 2,000 miles away, a tall black-haired old man with a look of neither sadness nor joy stepped out. His eyes were as deep as the sea, and his brows were full of majesty. He was wearing a blue robe with patterns of ocean waves painted on it. Buzz buzz. As the blue-robed old man walked out of the cave, a terrifying pressure suddenly emerged, and the surrounding corals, seaweed, and shells turned into powder. After a period of latent cultivation, I have made some progress in my cultivation. Although it is not in its heyday, the realm of the immortal king in the 8th heaven can be compared with that of contemporary practitioners. The ancestor of the sea whale pondered. As a top-level immortal king creature in the ancient times of Kunlun realm, in order not to go to the immortal world to compete with others for resources again, he simply sealed himself and fell into a deep sleep, intending to wait until Kunlun realm revived before choosing to come out to get opportunities. At that time, this decision was very bold and crazy. Because he didn't know when Kunlun realm would revive, and it might even decline forever. If so, he would destroy himself. But if Kunlun realm really revived, as a former immortal king-level strongman reappeared in the world, wouldn't he be able to strike at a dimensionality reduction? With this expectation, the sea whale ancestor chose to gamble, and finally successfully waited for the opportunity of revival. After waking up from the seal, he wanted to make great plans and dominate the Kunlun realm of the world. As a result, he unexpectedly discovered that many strong men made the same choice as him. They all wanted to survive for a while and then come out to act arrogantly. In response, the sea whale ancestor almost collapsed on the spot. They said they would go to the immortal world to develop, but they all stayed. Do you still have any shame? After all, in the Kunlun world, there were many immortals. As a fairy king-level creature, the sea whale ancestor could only be regarded as a famous strong man. If he followed the call and ran to the fairy world, he would have to continue to follow the internal role. The sea whale ancestor has been rolling for almost a lifetime, and he is almost numb, so he found another way and wanted to take a shortcut to rise in the Kunlun world in the future. Unexpectedly, there are many ancient strong men who have the same idea as him. At this point, the sea whale ancestor had to accept this fact, and even comforted himself that at least the competitive pressure was much less. After all, many powerful people in the past went to the fairy world. But the sea whale ancestor still felt uneasy, so he concentrated on seclusion and cultivation during this period. Until his cultivation improved a little, he thought about officially coming out to act. According to the current laws of heaven and earth, the realm of the immortal king is the limit, and his cultivation is the 8th level of the immortal king, which is about to reach the ceiling. It is precisely because of this advantage that the sea whale ancestor dares to come out and walk around. Next, it's time for me to make great plans. The sea whale ancestor stroked his beard lightly, his eyes shot with sharp brilliance. Swish swish swish, figures rushed over in a hurry, and hurriedly bowed respectfully, meet the ancestor. Especially the electric eel king, flattering and flattering, congratulations to the ancestor for his great achievements in magic. From now on, you are the only one in Kunlun realm. The sea whale ancestor waved his hand, don't exaggerate. Although it was flattery, the current sea whale ancestor was very useful, and his face suddenly became as if he was bathed in spring breeze, and he was in a very good mood. He looked at the electric eel spirit and nodded with approval. Not bad, emotional intelligence. At this moment, a calm voice without any emotion sounded, Your Excellency has finally come out of retreat. Who? The sea whale patriarch frowned and looked around with a suspicious look. He was very surprised. There were actually immortal king-level strongmen here. And there were 3 of them at once. Boom! With a strong momentum sweeping over, 3 figures descended in front. The handsome young man in the lead had a golden halo on his head and white and holy wings on his back. His eyes were indifferent and cold, looking down at all living beings. Let me introduce myself. My name is Satu Yan, and I come from the heaven. Chapter 292, C293 A Hopeless Situation. Heaven Realm. The sea whale ancestor seemed to remember something and stared at the blonde young man as if facing a formidable enemy. You are the light clan in the heaven realm. Seeing this posture, the electric eel king and the others were secretly surprised. The tone seemed a bit hostile. Your Excellency is indeed a strong man from ancient times, and you know a lot. Satu Yan said calmly. HMPH. You actually sneaked in at this time. I know exactly what you have in mind. The ancestor of the sea whale sneered. Hey, you old guy, pay attention to the way you talk to my young master. The tall man behind Satu Yan said in a deep voice. That's right, do you still think that the Kunlun realm is still glorious? Today's Kunlun realm cannot even enter the top 100 of the Shenting world ranking. The thin man next to him sarcastically said. The sea whale ancestor fell silent. In the past, as a creature of the Kunlun realm, he could overlook the heaven realm. However, unfortunately, the Kunlun realm has undergone tremendous changes. Even if it enters the recovery period, it is still difficult to catch up. However, what was once the second largest world in Shenting was now unable to even enter the top 100. This sense of disparity made the ancestor of the sea whale feel very heavy. Seeing that the sea whale ancestor was suppressed, the 2 guards showed a proud smile. Don't be rude, this is our ally. Satu Yan said coldly. The ancestor of the sea whale raised his eyebrows. Ali. Who promised to cooperate with you? Situ Yan said slowly. Your Excellency must also know that there are many resuscitators besides you. The most important thing is that you are from the Sea Clan, and the human race is the representative clan of the Kunlun realm. As the resurgence of the Kunlun realm intensifies, it will be indispensable in the future. Dissension. But cooperate with me and get rid of them together. In the future, our Guangming tribe will rule the Kunlun world, and you will be the #1 hero. What a loud tone. Sea Whale ancestor narrowed his eyes slightly. Do you want me to betray the Kunlun realm by doing this? Betray? What is betrayal? There is an old saying that goes to higher places and water flows to lower places. Today's Kunlun realm has become the favorite of all the races in the starry sky, and it is also a thorn in the side of Juyu. How much hope do you think you, the creatures of Kunlun realm, have left to survive? We, the Guangming clan, are the overlord of the heaven realm, and we are ranked second in the divine court. Even the Lord of the Divine Court does not dare to underestimate us, and your Kunlun realm is also a member of the Divine Court. If you cooperate with me, that is I'm cooperating with Shenting, why not? Hear the words. The ancestor of the sea whale looked ugly. He felt very sad that the once powerful Kunlun realm had fallen to this point and was coveted by all the races in the starry sky. The heaven realm, which once lived under the human world, now took the place of the Kunlun realm and ranked second in the Divine Court. Shenting, do you still have the nerve to mention Shenting to me? When the Nine Nether Alliance attacked the Kunlun realm, where was Shenting? Now you are jumping out to build relations. You guys are really thick-skinned. The ancestor of the sea whale was full of resentment and shouted angrily. Boom! A terrifying and powerful aura erupted from his body, and water from all directions formed a chaotic whirlpool around him. Ancestor, please calm down. The Electric Eel King and others were so frightened that they knelt down and trembled. The tall man and the thin man had a look of surprise in their eyes, obviously frightened by the sea whale ancestor. Suddenly, Situ Yan took a step expressionlessly, and the golden halo above his head released a blazing golden light. The momentum was not weaker than that of the sea whale ancestor, and he formed a confrontation with the opponent. Even vaguely, it will overwhelm the ancestor of the sea whale. Realizing how powerful it was, the sea whale ancestor's danger assessment of this blonde young man went up several notches. Your Excellency, please be patient. During the long years you have been sleeping, the situation in the universe has been changing rapidly. The level of the four extremes of your Kunlun world at the beginning can now be reached by strong people in the top 100 worlds. Can you imagine now? Come on, how backward is Kunlun realm already? Situ Yan said calmly. How is this possible? The ancestor of the sea whale was shocked. If this is true, the situation outside the territory is too terrible. You must know that the reason why the Kunlun realm stood second in the divine court and looked down upon all the realms in the universe was because of the birth of four transcendent beings above the immortal emperors. This is a well-deserved card in the Kunlun world. That's why the sea whale ancestor reacted so violently when he heard the information revealed by Situ Yan. As a result, there are now existences above the immortal emperor in the top 100 worlds in the divine court. The ancestor of the sea whale thought about it and was extremely frightened, and his back felt cold. If that's the case, then why don't they just, the sea whale ancestor said with difficulty. Because of the existence of that level, an agreement was reached behind the scenes. Now, both Juyu and Shenting can only send out immortal level creatures to participate in the battle for Kunlun realm. So, Kunlun realm is lucky, but also unfortunate. Think about it carefully. As long as you cooperate with us, you will be the lord of the Sea Clan and the talker of my Guangming clan. Your status in the Kunlun realm will be unshakable. Situ Yan looked calm. The more calm he appeared, the more oppressive he felt like a shadow. The facial muscles of the sea whale ancestor were trembling, and the pride and persistence in his heart were completely shattered by the other party's last few words. What else can be done? The Kunlun realm is now surrounded by powerful enemies, and it is only a matter of time before it is captured. Why not find a new home in advance, and maybe it can soar into the sky? Okay, I promise you. Congratulations on your wise choice. Situ Yan remained calm, as if he had expected this. The two guards behind him looked at each other and smiled. This is not a place for negotiation. Please follow me to the palace, fellow Taoist, and we will discuss the future cooperation slowly and in detail. The ancestor of the sea whale adjusted his mood and sounded more respectful. Okay, Situ Yan nodded. At this time, the Electric Eel King stretched out his hand weakly. Ancestor, actually we have something important to report to you. The ancestor of the sea whale frowned and said, Say. There is a powerful human being in the Heavenly Lady Kingdom. He just broke the magical conch you left for me not long ago. Our Sea clan also lost 800,000 elites for this. Because the matter is so important, I want you to make a decision. Electric Eel King Li Wei. Yes, and that guy also took away the most precious thing from me. Make it into delicious food and eat it. Commander Tiger Shark couldn't help but cry out for injustice. Situ Yan and the others. That human resuscitator is so cruel. The muscles in the corners of the sea whale ancestor's eyes twitched and his face turned blue. When he first woke up, he specially gave the Electric Eel King a treasure, which contained part of his power. It could be released as long as it was activated, which was equivalent to the cultivation level of the Immortal King in the fifth heaven. Its original intention was to speed up the process of Hai Clan's domination of Fengming province, and at the same time scare the rest of the resuscitators hiding behind the scenes. Unexpectedly, there was a human resuscitator in the kingdom of Heavenly Lady who ruthlessly cracked his treasure. This is simply a slap in the face. HMPH, you dare to go against me, you are so tired of living. The ancestor of the sea whale said angrily. He had just come out of seclusion, and he wanted to go on a killing spree to satisfy his desire for not having seen blood for a long time. The most important thing is that Situ Yan and the others are all present. The ancestor of the sea whale knows that he must show off his skills to prove his worth. Who can imagine? Situ Yan waved his hand. There is no need for you to take action on this trivial matter, just let my guards do it for you. Ji Yu Li, go there yourself and get rid of that human resuscitator. The tall man with a muscular build and a silver halo above his head bowed his hands and said respectfully. Yes. Chapter 293. C294. Hey, I won't come out. Heavenly Maiden Kingdom. The news about the Pingxi King colluding with the Sea tribe to rebel spread across the country like a hurricane, attracting passionate condemnation from the masses. The Pingxi King's mansion was demolished by the court, and the Pingxi army was severely rectified. All female generals related to the incident were arrested and imprisoned in the Heavenly Prison, and were sentenced to 10 years of Trojan horse punishment. As for the descendants of the Yan family who were related to the Pingxi King, they were demoted to the lowest status of slaves, abolished their cultivation and sent to the mines to do hard labor, and they would never be able to turn over. Since experiencing that grand seafood feast, the people of the imperial capital felt that they had not lived in vain. Have you heard? The handsome man who appeared at the float festival that day, his true identity is from the outside world. Ah, no wonder I've never seen him before. It's like he appeared out of thin air. It is said that if a foreign man enters Tianbi country without permission, he will be arrested and used as a sewing tool according to the law. Sister, are you sane? He came in with the red leader. Of course he can be treated specially. Sisters, I have another explosive news. When the king of Pingxi blew himself up, he easily resolved it. What? It turned out that he saved my life. I have no way to repay you, so I can only promise you my body and never leave you. Woo woo, please, let me repay him. I want to give birth to a lot of babies for him. The imperial capital was full of heated discussions, and the topic was all about Yi Junlin. Rumble. At this moment, a roar suddenly came from the vast sky, and a huge vortex about 10,000 meters wide gradually formed. The surface of the vortex was filled with lightning and thunder, and countless silver lightnings twisted like spirit snakes, extremely bright, with a very shocking visual effect. Oh my god, what happened? Countless female cultivators, scalps numbed, and they looked up in doubt. Soon, from the depths of the vortex, a snow-white beam of light shot out, and bright spots of light floated, beautiful and magnificent. In full view of the crowd, a tall man with a silver halo on his head, white wings on his back, and a white cloth shawl slowly fell from the snow-white beam of light. The scene was very spectacular, like a god descending. Swish, a powerful breath burst out in an instant, sweeping across the vast imperial capital, frightening countless people to tremble with fear. The one who came was Ji Yu Li. After receiving the order from Master Situ, Ji Yu Li chose to directly descend to the capital of Tianu Kingdom, intending to force the human resuscitator to appear, then kill him and go back to report. According to the tip of the sea whale ancestor, the opponent's strength is not weak, and his cultivation is roughly at the 6th level of the Immortal King, which is on par with his current strength. After entering the Kunlun realm, Ji Yu Li, who is naturally warlike, was suffocated. He was eager to fight with the strong here and enjoy the pleasure of crushing and killing. Hee, the human resuscitator, I wonder how many moves you can block me. Ji Yu Li raised his head and looking around, sneering. This man, he is not kind. He also has a pair of white wings, is he a demon? Who is he looking for? The women whispered, feeling very nervous. Because Ji Yuli came with a fierce momentum and looked very cruel, everyone was afraid that he would kill and hurt innocent people. The palace is ahead, and the resurrected person must be hiding inside. Ji Yuli's eyes burst into a brilliant light, and the silver light intertwined all over his body, making him look like an undefeated god of war. Swish! Ji Yuli came to the sky above the palace, releasing his divine sense to quickly search for the target. Suddenly, he saw a back garden in the distance, and there were several figures sitting around a stone table in the pavilion, seemingly playing cards. Ji Yuli noticed something, and his divine sense instantly locked on one of them. He was a handsome young man wearing a black robe embroidered with gold, with silver long hair like moonlight scattered around his waist. His every move revealed an ethereal aura that transcended the common people. Ji Yuli keenly perceived that the other party was the most unfathomable existence in the whole venue, and he must be the target he was looking for this time. Yes, that's him. Ji Yuli's wings behind him were flapping, and his figure flew towards the direction of the pavilion. At the same time, he was also secretly on guard, alert to whether there was a killing array arranged by the other party around him. Master, it's your turn. Li Wuji reminded. There were 7 or 8 pieces of paper on his face, with all kinds of teasing words written on them, such as, I love to eat aolige the most, 3 seconds as a real man, no balls, picking nose as a snack. And Hong Chenny, Bai Xiaoxi, and Da Mushroom King also had several pieces of paper on their faces, holding pairs of cards in their hands. Some of them looked very depressed, some enjoyed it, and some had bitter faces. Who cares? Yi Junlin raised the last card with a specific pattern and threw it on the stone table aggressively. Explode! He shouted loudly, fearing that others could not hear him. Damn, master, how do you win every time? Li Wuji's eyes almost popped out. Hey, this is all about skills. Yi Junlin crossed his arms and shook his head helplessly. The problem is, my face is almost full of paper. Li Wuji complained with a face almost occupied by paper. It's okay, there will always be room if we squeeze in. Yi Junlin showed a kind smile. Senior Yi is so amazing. Dongfang Jing behind him picked up the teapot and added tea to the others with a smile, without any airs of a king. Dongfang Mengyao watched curiously from the side, thinking that this card game was particularly interesting. She had never played it before. Come on, continue on. The people in the pavilion were having a great time, and it seemed that they didn't take Ji Yuli's arrival seriously at all. Ji Yuli outside was in doubt. When Yi Junlin shouted, explosion, just now, he was shocked and thought there was a trap. As a result, nothing happened. Seeing that Yi Junlin was still planning to continue playing cards, Ji Yuli's heart was filled with anger. Damn, is he looking down on him? Swish! Ji Yuli waved his hand fiercely, and the golden holy light turned into a giant sword and slashed down, raising a majestic gust of wind on both sides. Boom! Who would have thought that there was a formation protection outside the pavilion, which blocked his attack? Because of this action, Yi Junlin's idea of playing cards was also interrupted. Hey, what are you doing? Yi Junlin threw down the cards unhappily and turned around to question. Feeling the power of the formation, Ji Yuli was very surprised. This was actually a defensive sky formation. Is this person a heavenly array master? Suddenly, in Ji Yuli's mind, Yi Junlin's danger level increased greatly. Although heavenly array masters are not rare in the Light Clan, they are indeed higher than ordinary immortal kings. After all, the former can arrange various arrays to form powerful serial killing moves. Thinking of this, Ji Yuli's figure retreated 100 feet, and vigilantly scanned the surroundings with his spiritual sense again. He noticed that there was no trace of array arrangement, and he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. However, he was a little embarrassed. Ji Yuli stared at the silver-haired young man and gritted his teeth and said, I'm here to find you. If you have the guts, come out and die. Yi Junlin's eyes were like looking at a mentally retarded person, and he said contemptuously, where did you come from, Birdman? I won't go out, what can you do to me? In fact, when Ji Yuli appeared in the imperial capital, Yi Junlin sensed his breath, but he didn't take it seriously. Birdman. Hearing this name, Ji Yuli's forehead was bulging with veins, his teeth were clenched, and his face was full of anger. The Light Clan, which is of noble status and can be called the dominant race, is actually called a Birdman in Kunlun realm. This is simply a huge humiliation. Natives, you are blind, I am from the Light Clan. The Light Clan. The Light Clan. Everyone was stunned. It was the first time they heard of this race. In this regard, Yi Junlin specially consulted Tongzi. After learning about the other party's origin, his eyes flashed with strange colors. Heaven Realm, Light Clan. It seems that his previous guess was correct. Not only Juyu will send strong people, but the Divine Court will also take action. The Light Clan is a dominant race. According to the color of the halo on the head, the qualifications and combat power can be judged. The other party has a silver halo, and it seems that he has a high status in the clan. Did the Sea Tribe send you here? Yi Junlin thought of the Sea Tribe that suffered a great loss here a few days ago, and he had a guess about the relationship between the two because Ji Yuli came to his house to cause trouble. What a joke, just relying on that group of lowly marine creatures, you are qualified to order me. Ji Yuli looked contemptuous. I was ordered by the young master to come and kill you, the human resurrectionist. Resurrectionist. Dongfang Jing and Dongfang Mengyao looked at each other, and heard this title for the first time. Just relying on you, a birdman. Don't make fun of me. Yi Junlin waved his hand. You. Ji Yuli was furious, and two beams of silver light shot out of his eyes, tearing the void, which was extremely terrifying. The next second, he burst out with the momentum of the sky, and countless silver spots gathered on his right fist like a vortex. The silver light was like a bright star, and the breath was extremely sacred. Break it for me. Ji Yuli roared and punched the formation. The light curtain rippled, as if it was bearing a huge impact. After more than 10 seconds, it fell silent again. No way, that's it. Yi Junlin was very surprised. Tell me the truth, who gave you the confidence to come and embarrass yourself? Chapter 294. C295 Really, the formation is broken and people die. Ji Yuli's face looked uglier than he had eaten shit, realizing that this was no ordinary heavenly formation. HMPH, don't get carried away. As long as I use all my strength, it will soon be penetrated by me. Ji Yuli adjusted his state, with sacred light mist lingering between his mouth and nose, and a light ball like a galaxy appeared on his fist, and he launched a crazy attack on the pavilion. In an instant, the silver fist prints wrapped in the light ball swarmed to the light curtain. Boom 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 boom. The exploding light balls were different, and the rumbling sound shook the earth. Everyone in the palace was frightened and pale, and their hearts were filled with panic. Break it for me, break it. Ji Yuli's fighting spirit was boiling, and the surging immortal power gathered on his fist, turning into a sky full of light balls to explode the light curtain. It took about an incense stick of time. When the aftermath dissipated, the pavilion was still intact, and the light curtain surrounding it was golden, as if it was turned upside down by a golden bowl, and the surface was extremely solid. How is it possible? Ji Yuli's eyes were wide open, and he dared not to open his mouth. With the fierce attack just now, he was confident that he could break at least the 5th or 6th level of the heavenly formation. But now, this heavenly formation is still intact. What does this mean? This is a 9th level heavenly formation. The other party is a true 9th level heavenly formation master. The weight behind this identity is too heavy. If this person is not eliminated, he will definitely be the biggest threat to the young master in Kunlun realm. As a subordinate, I must share his worries. Ji Yuli's murderous intent was unprecedentedly condensed. In the pavilion, everyone was like watching a play, and the atmosphere was very relaxed. Hey, Birdman, didn't you eat before coming? Try harder, Li Wuji mocked. The so-called Light Clan is just like this. Hong Chenny said contemptuously. Yi Junlin slowly picked up the teacup, took a sip, and sighed, hey, what happened? My tea is cold. A series of sarcastic words fell into Ji Yuli's ears, making him so angry that his facial muscles twitched, his face turned liver-colored, his eyes were red as if bleeding, and wisps of green smoke were coming out of his head. Good, very good. Don't think that you can escape this disaster by hiding in the 9th grade heavenly formation. When I use the top-level grade immortal method, you can wait for the formation to be broken and people to die. Ji Yuli was furious, and there were mysterious runes flowing all over his body. Each rune was shining silver, and the terrifying aura was released, distorting the surrounding void. Multiple holy lights. Quote, Ji Yuli made seals with his hands and shouted. Shua shua shua. Around the pavilion, densely packed round mirrors condensed and burst out with brilliant white light, bombarding the light curtain together, countless light spots flying. The scene was very spectacular. Ji Yuli's mouth curled up a cruel smile. This was the magical power of the Light Clan that he was most proud of. It was a top-level great immortal method. You know, immortal methods have different levels, divided into small immortal methods, great immortal methods, supreme methods, and supreme methods. The higher the grade of the immortal method, the stronger the power. Of course, the higher the level of the immortal method, the more difficult it is to practice. If the caster cannot exert the power as it should, the effect will be even worse than that of low-level immortal arts. As a senior member of the clan, Ji Yuli has already mastered many top-level immortal arts. After all, a top-level immortal art is enough to benefit many immortal king-level creatures for life. Ji Yuli believes that even the 9th grade heavenly formation cannot withstand such a terrible killing move. Rumble. Multiple holy lights bombarded the light curtain in all directions without dead angles. The light curtain began to produce violent energy ripples and gradually emerged with clearly visible cracks. Ahahaha, I knew this tortoise shell wouldn't last long. Seeing that there was hope of breaking the formation, Ji Yuli's eyes were excited and he quickly cast the next top-level immortal art. Giant Hammer of Light. The immortal energy within 1,000,000 miles was drained away. Above Ji Yuli's head, a super-giant silver hammer condensed out, shining silver and full of vigorous breath. I will break this formation with one hammer. Quote. Beads of sweat appeared on Ji Yuli's forehead. It was obvious that this magic skill consumed a lot of energy. The higher the grade of the magic skill, the greater the energy consumption. But when he thought about being able to shatter the light curtain and enjoy the horrified expressions of Yi Junlin and others, Ji Yuli felt that everything was worth it. Swish. Then, in full view of everyone, the giant silver sledgehammer smashed towards the pavilion. Compared with the silver sledgehammer, the pavilion was like the difference between a grain of rice and a watermelon, with a sharp visual contrast. Boom. When the golden hammer fell on the golden light curtain covering the pavilion, a shocking crash sound broke out. In an instant, the light curtain, which had already broken, finally couldn't bear it and shattered. The power of the top-level immortal method can be seen. The chaotic energy airflow was raging, and the whole garden was blown up with petals all over the sky, colorful. The pavilion stood alone, and the surrounding surface was bumpy and looked very messy. I said, if the formation is broken, people will die. Now that the formation is broken, you all have to die. Ji Yuli had a grim smile on his face, his eyes were boiling with murderous intent, as if he was looking at a lamb to be slaughtered. In his traditional cognition, formation masters are basically not good at fighting. Losing the support of the formation is equivalent to tying their own hands and feet. Without the formation to rely on, the strength will be greatly reduced. After all, practicing immortal methods requires hard work and energy. It is almost difficult for geniuses in this world to practice formations. Even if it is a powerful person with advanced cultivation, it is already extremely difficult to focus on one field in this life. How can he also study another field at the same time? Therefore, Ji Yuli determined that Yi Junlin's real fighting ability was so weak that he was inferior. I guess I haven't even mastered the basic level of the great immortal technique yet. He can hit 10 of these parallel imported fairy kings with one hand. Looking at the burly man with a ferocious smile on his face and wings on his back, Hong Chiba and the others showed pity. Yi Junlin clicked his fingers and said with a meaningful expression, "You are right, everyone will die if the battle is broken, but it is not us who die, but you." Ji Yuli sneered, "You are about to die, how dare you scare me?" Just when he was about to take action and kill everyone in the pavilion, Yi Junlin made a secret with one hand and whispered a few words with his thin lips. The finger of the great desolate prisoner of heaven. Boom boom boom. Deep in the vast sky, there was an earth-shattering rumble, and a horrifying murderous intention instantly enveloped Ji Yuli, making him feel cold all over, his hairs bursting, and he could hardly move. What is that? Ji Yuli's eyebrows jumped sharply, he looked up at the sky, and felt an unprecedented terror. 5 pitch-black fingers, about tens of thousands of miles long, covered with mysterious golden lines, emerged from the depths of the endless sky. The terrifying pressure turned into a storm that swept millions of miles around, and most of the people in the Heavenly Lady Kingdom felt it. When I saw this terrifying aura, I was frightened. Okay, so big. Dongfang Jing's mother and daughter were stunned, astonished by the stick-like objects that stood upright from the sky and the ground. Haha, Yi Junlin raised a sneer at the corner of his mouth and reached out to grab Guli in the sky. In the past, the system rewarded the automatic cultivation function of Taoism. In the past few months, he had signed up to a cultivation efficiency of 20,000 times, which allowed his Dawang prisoner's heavenly finger to directly cultivate to the perfect 5-finger realm. Coupled with the fact that he used it himself, this power is absolutely overwhelming. In an instant, the 5 sky-high giant fingers covered with dense golden lines contain unparalleled power, and the vast sense of oppression is terrifying. As the saying goes, 1 finger can imprison the world, 2 fingers can break mountains and rivers, 3 fingers can destroy living beings, 4 fingers can break the sky, and 5 fingers can move the universe. When all 5 fingers come out together, it will destroy the world. Feeling the terrifying power coming, all the blood in Guli's body stopped flowing, his pupils were trembling violently, and his face was full of disbelief. Is this the supreme law? Ji Yuli's face turned pale, and he had no choice but to resist due to his survival instinct, trying to block these 5 mysterious and terrifying giant fingers. Rumble. In the sky, a large ball of energy burst out, and the bloody figure was vaguely visible. Guli's whole body was covered with broken marks like ceramics, and strands of blood were flowing out quickly. His expression was full of pain, and a bit dazed, and he murmured. No, this may not be the supreme law. I'm afraid it is the legendary supreme law. The supreme dharma is a very rare immortal method, and the supreme dharma is the uncrowned king among the immortal methods. Those who can master this method have the qualifications to dominate the immortal way. The 9th grade heavenly formation master in front of him not only possessed the supreme method but could also successfully cast it. This undoubtedly gave Ji Yuli a huge shock. Why, how could such a monster exist in this declining world? Ji Yuli was puzzled. Sir, run quickly. Before he died, he used up his remaining will to send out mental waves towards Satu, who was far away at the bottom of the sea. Subsequently, the consciousness in his mind vanished into thin air. It turned out that his entire body exploded and his soul was destroyed. The promise he made just now to break the battle and kill everyone was fulfilled, but he was the one who died. Chapter 295, C296 The Sea Whale Patriarch, are you pretending to be cool with me? Why bother? You came all the way here to die. Yi Junlin shook his head and sighed. To be honest, Ji Yuli died too unjustly. His cultivation level in the 6th level of the Immortal King realm was comparable to Yi Junlin's. He mastered many top-level great immortal methods and was definitely the best among the Immortal King level creatures. That's why Satu Yan sent him to kill the Resurrectionist. As a result, they didn't expect to meet a terrifying existence here that was even more evil than the evildoers. Not only was he a 9th grade heavenly formation master, but he could also perform supreme methods at will. This was quite explosive in the entire universe. HMPH, that damn birdman made a mess of my back garden. Dongfang Jing looked disgusted and planned to renovate it later. How terrible, the Sea Clan actually has such a helper. Dongfang Mengyao said with lingering fear. Fortunately, Mr. Yi is here. Master, are we still playing cards? Li Wuji asked seriously with a face full of notes. What are you fighting for? My mood has been ruined. Hong Chenny threw away the cards in his hand, feeling very depressed. Mainly because he is also a competitive person, but he is very unhappy every time he loses. Yi Junlin's eyes flickered. From what the birdman said, it seems that there are accomplices staying in the Sea Clan. After the previous experience, he had a very bad impression of the foreign races. In addition, the other party had come to the door, so how could he sit back and watch? Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the sign-in task. Please go to the Underwater King City to complete the sign-in, and you will receive a reward. Kang Yuan sword is upgraded to the top-grade Fairy King level fairy weapon. Closing square bracket. In his mind, the system prompt sounded. Yi Junlin smiled. It just so happens that I have to go there too, so I'll use the shark wall last time as a guide. Before the Tiger Shark commander left, Yi Junlin left a mental imprint on him, so even if he was thousands of miles away, Yi Junlin could use the mental imprint to sense where the Tiger Shark commander was. After all, the North Sea is extremely vast, and it is difficult to find the nest of the Sea Clan. Stop playing, come with me to the nest of the Sea Clan. Yi Junlin said. Haha, this is going to hit the door directly, I feel excited just thinking about it. Li Wuji shook off the notes on his face and stood up with great joy. My big knife has been thirsty for a long time. Is it time to grill the seafood again? Hong Chenny said with interest. With the help of Senior Yi, the disaster of the Sea Clan will definitely be solved. Dongfang Jing said excitedly. Recently, she received a report from a spy that, except for the Tianbi Kingdom, other countries in Fengmingzhou have suffered from the harassment of the Sea Clan and suffered heavy losses. It can be seen that the ambition of the Sea Clan is so great that it seems that they have something to rely on behind them and are fearless. If it is not curbed, the lives of Fengmingzhou will be in danger. Seeing that Yi Junlin, a great human, has taken action, Dongfang Jing feels very at ease. North Sea, underwater world. In the magnificent palace, the blonde youth was talking to an old man in a blue robe. Mr. Satu, do you mean to let me come forward and gather the revivers in Kunlun realm as much as possible? Hearing the request, the old face of the Sea Whale Patriarch showed surprise. He hoped that the targets would be more dispersed, because if the revivers were too united, it would be more difficult to deal with them. You know, those guys are all ancient-level strongmen who have mastered the most complete immortal methods. They are not ordinary people. If they are all gathered together, it is unimaginable how terrible they will be. How come you want to gather those monsters instead? Who would have thought that? Satu Yan said calmly. As long as you can do it, I can kill them all at once. His tone was unquestionable, as if he was stating a fact. What did you say? The sea whale patriarch was startled, and then his face was gloomy and he said, fellow Taoist Satu, please don't joke with me. Obviously, Satu Yan's words made the sea whale patriarch feel that he was too conceited and didn't know how high the sky was. Young man, there should be a limit to pretending, right? Who are you looking down on? Since you are so awesome and can kill all the resurrectors, why do you come to me for cooperation? The sea whale patriarch looked unhappy. In his eyes, the blonde young man in front of him had one word written on his face, pretending. Seemingly seeing what the sea whale patriarch was thinking, Satu Yan pretended to cough a few times and explained. Your Excellency misunderstood me. I am sure I can get rid of all the resurrectors, but it's not what you think. The more the sea whale patriarch listened, the more confused he became. Not what I thought. What do you mean? Please tell me the truth, so that I can understand your methods clearly. Only in this way can I dare to act, otherwise. In his words, Satu Yan was clearly revealing his reliance. After all, the matter was of great importance, and the plan was too crazy. If he gathered those guys together and killed them, wouldn't it be a joke? So, the sea whale patriarch wanted to know why the blonde young man dared to do this. Seeing that the other party's tone was full of doubt, Satu Yan knew that in order to make the plan go smoothly, he had to start by building trust. In that case, I won't hide it from you. Satu Yan gently raised his hand, and his palm released a milky white light, and a silver ring appeared. The surface of the ring was covered with obscure runes, exuding a sacred breath. The sea whale patriarch frowned. This is the Ring of Order, a special treasure of our clan. Its use is very simple. It can make all creatures within the range lose their cultivation. When Satu Yan introduced this treasure, the corners of his mouth slightly curved with complacency. Lose cultivation. The sea whale patriarch stared at the silver ring in disbelief, and his heart was like a storm. For even the strongest cultivators, losing cultivation is equivalent to becoming a cripple. Not only is life worse than death, but it is also easy to be slaughtered. I didn't expect that the Light Clan would have such an evil treasure. Is it permanent? The sea whale patriarch's scalp numbed, his eyes revealed deep fear, and he asked cautiously. That panicked look, afraid that Satu Yan would also give him a blow. Satu Yan shook his head. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Although the cultivators who are hit will lose their cultivation, it will only last for an incense stick at most. After an incense stick, the cultivation will return to normal. An incense stick. When the sea whale patriarch heard this key information, his frightened expression eased a lot. But to be honest, let alone a stick of incense, even a few short breaths of time would be enough to determine life and death for a strong man of their level. The most important thing is that every time this treasure is opened, it will consume all the energy. After using it, it will take at least 10,000 years to open it again, so I asked you to gather as many revivers as possible in the Kunlun realm. Because I want to catch them all in one fell swoop. Satu Yan said in a deep voice. So that's it. The sea whale patriarch nodded. If there is this treasure to support the formation, no matter how many revivers come, there is no need to be afraid. Just kill them indiscriminately. Next, I will think of a way to attract most of the revivers to come. Then, we can start the final step. The sea whale patriarch smiled, and his tone was chilling. As the old saying goes, it is better to let my friends die than to let me die. Now that Kunlun realm is in prison and in imminent danger, he might as well take this opportunity to perform well and win the trust and reuse of the Light Clan. In the future, let alone becoming an immortal emperor or immortal venerable, even achieving the position of immortal emperor is a sure thing. Happy cooperation, Satu Yan said softly. This treasure in his hand is the biggest source of his confidence. Indeed, the number of ancient-level resurrectors in Kunlun realm is not small, and their strength will be very strong. But so what? As long as they are affected by the Ring of Order, they will all lose their cultivation. It will take him enough time to kill all these natives in one stick of incense. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from Satu Yan's mind, sounding very weak and desperate. Young master, run. What's going on? Satu Yan stood up suddenly in shock, his eyebrows throbbing, and an ominous premonition rose in his heart, muttering. Something happened to Ji Yu Li. Chapter 296. C297. It's him, that's him. Sir, are you saying that Ji Yuli is in danger? Another thin man behind him had a look of disbelief on his face. As a companion, he knew how powerful Guli was, and if they were to fight each other, he would be slightly inferior. Therefore, when Situ Yan sent Ji Yuli to carry out the beheading operation, the thin man felt it was very reasonable and felt that the human resuscitator would definitely die this time. Unexpectedly, an accident occurred. Could it be that the human resuscitator is very powerful? Situ Yan frowned. He could sense the heavy mental blow Ji Yuli suffered before his death. The enemy was far more terrifying than imagined. Sure enough, this ancient world cannot be underestimated. After all, the background of the era where the resuscitators are located is the most prosperous period of the Kunlun world, so it is understandable that it is relatively strong. Damn it, Situ Yan gritted his teeth. He, who had always behaved calmly, looked a little gloomy at this moment. Fellow Taoist Situ, are your men in trouble? The ancestor of the sea whale asked in surprise. That's right, he died in the hands of that human race. Situ Yan said in a cold tone. The ancestor of the sea whale was slightly startled. It seemed that the opponent's strength should not be underestimated. Fellow Taoist Situ, don't worry, your men died because of my sea clan's affairs. I will set off immediately to kill that human clan and give you an explanation. Knowing that his opportunity to perform had come, the sea whale ancestor looked proud and spoke calmly. At this moment, an anxious cry came, something is going wrong. Something is going wrong. A shrimp soldier came in a hurry. Bastard, tell me clearly, what happened? The sea whale ancestor yelled angrily, with a majestic aura bursting out from his body. The shrimp soldier was so frightened that he collapsed to the ground and said in horror. Reporting to our ancestors, several human races entered the North Sea and went straight to the palace. The king of the sea led his soldiers to intercept them and suffered heavy losses. He asked the young one to come over and ask you for help. The ancestor of the sea whale was shocked and angry. The human race is so rampant. How dare you come to my territory and run wild? Fellow Taoist Situ, just wait, I will come back as soon as I go. After saying that, the old man in blue robes flashed away, leaving behind a faint ripple of water along the way. Sir, could it be that the resuscitator brought someone to the door? The thin man asked in surprise. It's possible, let's just wait and see what happens. Situ Yan said solemnly. To be able to make his men despair, he must be a very evil being. Therefore, he wanted to use the sea whale ancestor to find out the opponent's details. If conditions allowed, Situ Yan would also see the right time and kill the opponent with his own hands with the power of thunder. The spectacular underwater world has long been plunged into chaos. Countless marine creatures fled in panic, fearing that the city gate would catch fire and harm the fish in the pond. Due to the invasion of several human races, they were pushed all the way, so that many sea races behind them fled and abandoned their armor. Damn it, are you going to fight to the death with my sea clan? In the royal city, the electric eel king was trembling with anger, and the electric light in his eyes crackled. Listening to the frequent reports of defeats from his subordinates, the electric eel king felt that the North Sea was about to change. Sea King, those human races are so evil. The North Sea area is so large, and the place where our sea race lives is the most hidden and remote place deep in the seabed. There are various shields and interference with spiritual consciousness outside. Formation, how did they find their way here? Tiger Shark Commander couldn't understand. Labor and management also want to know your question. The electric eel king almost collapsed. The Sea Clan has spent countless years in the North Sea. During these long years, there have been fierce battles with the human race. However, no matter how hard they fight and how heavy the casualties are, the Sea Clan can continue to live in the North Sea. What it relies on is the unique environmental advantage. Even if there are not even 10 strong men left in the Sea Clan, as long as the remaining ones stay in their lair to recuperate and avoid being hunted by the human race, a few years later, new strong men from the Sea Clan will be born and continue to make waves outside. Now, several human races suddenly went deep into the North Sea, and they were able to follow the exact route and arrive at the sea race's lair with great accuracy. This made the electric eel king and the others find it incredible. This is completely unreasonable. Report, those human races are about to enter the royal city. One of his men shouted anxiously. Damn it, I seriously suspect that there is a spy leaking information to them. The electric eel king said with a gloomy face. The mole, everyone was shocked. The tiger shark commander's eyes almost burst out with anger. Whoever has the guts to stand up for me. Let's see if I can't kill you. Rumble, powerful auras approached the royal city, making countless sea people tremble with fear. Feeling cold all over the body, Ha ha ha, stop hiding, I know you are in there. That was Li Wuji's voice. Huh, the terrifying ink-colored sword light shattered the void and went straight to the camp where the Electric Eel King and the others were. Bold, the Electric Eel King was frightened and furious, and raised his hand to wrap around the terrifying thunder and lightning and grab it. Several other commanders also took action, trying their best to resist the terrifying sword light. Boom, a blazing ball of light exploded. The camp turned into powder, rocks flew around, and water rippled. Ahem, so strong, blood spilled from the corners of the Electric Eel King's mouths, and their hearts were horrified. The power of a sword is so terrifying. When Li Wuji saw the Electric Eel King and the others, he turned around excitedly and shouted, "Master, tonight's seafood ingredients are available." "Oh, let me take a look." Yi Junlin walked over with his hands behind his back, his eyes swept over those figures, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he kept saying, "Good. Good, good." With his sharp eyes, he saw the true forms of these sea creatures, which were electric eels, sharks, sea snakes, sea cucumbers, squids, and pufferfish. These were all immortal creatures. If they were made into delicious dishes by Bai Shaoxi, Yi Junlin couldn't imagine how delicious they would be. Yes, it's that human from last time. The tiger shark leader trembled with fear and turned pale when he recognized Yi Junlin at a glance. The shark fin on his body was taken away by the other party. "Haha, we meet again. Because of you, I can find this place accurately. Don't say, this place is really hidden." Yi Junlin smiled. If he didn't have the means to track the tiger shark leader, he would definitely waste a lot of time if he chose to search blindly in the vast North Sea alone. Swish, swish, swish. Several murderous and angry eyes were cast around, focusing on the tiger shark commander. The leading Electric Eel King pointed his finger with bloodshot eyes and roared, "The traitor is you. Shark Wall." The tiger shark commander's head buzzed, and he said in disbelief, "Me? Are you kidding me? When did he become a traitor? No, it's not me, I was wrong. You still dare to quibble? People say that it's because of you that I can find this place. Shark Wall, I'm done with you." "Me too." Yi Junlin waved his hand, "Enough, it's all in my stomach anyway, why bother arguing?" Hearing this, the Electric Eel King and his men felt like they were falling into the abyss, freezing to the bone. "You, don't mess around, our sea clan is protected by the sea whale ancestor. If you know what's good for you, leave quickly. Otherwise." Suddenly, a majestic and loud voice echoed above the royal city, "Those who trespass into the sea clan's royal city will die." Boom, a powerful and terrifying pressure spread in an instant. An old man in a blue robe with black hair flying appeared above the royal city, with a momentum like a dragon and eyes as deep as the sea. When his eyes swept over, the sense of oppression was extremely strong. In an instant, Hong Chenny and others felt a huge pressure and showed fear on their faces. "Ancestor, you are finally here." The Electric Eel King cried with joy, then pointed at Yi Junlin and said excitedly, "It's him, it's him, it's him. He is the great human being I mentioned to you last time." The sea whale ancestor narrowed his eyes slightly, stared at Yi Junlin, looked him up and down for a moment, and said in a surprised tone, "Who are you? Why have I never seen you before?" In theory, they are all powerful people from ancient times, and everyone has met them more or less, but when he saw Yi Junlin, the sea whale ancestor felt very strange and had no impression at all. The most terrifying thing is that the sea whale ancestor did not sense the slightest breath of the resurrectionist from Yi Junlin. What's going on? Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 297. C298 Come out, my old buddy. I am Yi Junlin from Xuantian sect. Yi Junlin made a brief self-introduction. Yi Junlin. The sea whale patriarch frowned, thinking about the names of the ancient masters in his mind, but he couldn't find a person named Yi Junlin. Is he ignorant, or is this young man a newly rising genius in the contemporary Kunlun realm? Seeing that Yi Junlin's cultivation was at the 6th level of the immortal king realm, the sea whale patriarch felt more and more incredible. How long has it been since the Kunlun realm's revival stage? So soon, there are human beings who have cultivated to this level. What kind of heaven-defying cultivation speed is this? The sea whale patriarch would rather believe that he didn't recognize the other party's origin because he was ignorant. But the problem is that the cultivators who have been sealed and sleeping since ancient times have a little bit of special aura on their bodies, and the sea whale patriarch relies on this to sense that there are many revivers hiding in the central region. Now, facing Yi Junlin who has no such aura, the sea whale patriarch is very surprised. After thinking it over again and again, the sea whale ancestor asked directly, "May I ask, sir, whether there was a dojo in ancient times?" After all creatures who cultivated to the level of immortal king had their own dojo in ancient times. The sea whale ancestor asked this question to find out the origin of Yi Junlin. He stared at the silver-haired young man, trying to see the clues from the expression on his face. As a result, Yi Junlin smiled faintly. Yes. The two words were thrown out directly, simple and rough. The sea whale ancestor broke his defense on the spot and shouted angrily, "I am a child." Still guessing. He could see that this guy was obviously playing tricks on him. Boom! A violent breath burst out from his body, and the sea currents in all directions were stagnant. Countless sea creatures felt suffocated in their chests and tried desperately to escape from this place of trouble. This old thing is very strong. Li Wuji's scalp was numb. Hong Chenny remained silent, his eyes coldly sweeping towards the electric eel king and the others, to prevent the seafood to be eaten tonight from sneaking away. I haven't eaten a human alive for many years. A fairy king level creature like you is a great tonic in my eyes. A bloodthirsty look flashed in the eyes of the sea whale ancestor, and he raised his hand with a mighty energy and grabbed the young man below. Swish, the endless water flow gathered into a big hand, rippling with terrifying energy fluctuations, to suppress the target in one fell swoop. As the sea whale ancestor of the eighth heaven of the fairy king, he was confident that he could subdue Yi Junlin with one hand. Feeling the huge sense of oppression coming from the enveloping, Yi Junlin's mouth corners were raised more and more, and a familiar system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding! The host is detected to be attacked by the enemy of the eighth heaven of the fairy king, and now the passive effect of being stronger when encountering a strong enemy is triggered, and the cultivation of the ninth heaven of the fairy king is obtained. Closing square bracket. Boom! Yi Junlin burst out with the breath of the top fairy king, as if he was only one step away from breaking through the threshold of the fairy emperor. At this moment, his eyes were so bright, and his skin was flowing with brilliant precious light, as if it was made of immortal divine gold. Hee. Yi Junlin casually stretched out his finger and lightly tapped it. Hoolalala! The blue big hand collapsed instantly and turned into water again. The old ancestor of the sea whale was struck by lightning, with shock on his face that was difficult to conceal. After a while, he calmed down a little and said in a deep voice, "So, this is your true cultivation." It would be a lie to say that he was not surprised. He thought that he had been in seclusion for a period of time and could occupy an absolute advantage in cultivation. Unexpectedly, someone jumped out and slapped him in the face so soon. You were right, but, Yi Junlin's smile was meaningful, not entirely right. The old ancestor of the sea whale frowned. What do you mean? Guess. Hearing these two words again. Fuck, the old ancestor of the sea whale was almost angry to vomit blood, and the muscles at the corners of his eyes twitched. It's fun to play tricks on me, right? So what if he is a 9th level immortal king? I have killed him before. Human cultivator, don't be so arrogant. Tide shattering palm. The sea whale ancestor was furious, and his hands moved back and forth a few times, and then he sent two surging wave-shaped palm forces towards the target. Fighting under the sea, he has a natural environmental advantage, which makes the killing moves he uses more powerful than on land. Break. Yi Junlin's words were followed by the law, and the two surging wave-shaped palm forces instantly disappeared, as if it was effortless. The sea whale ancestor's face changed, and then it was replaced by ferocity. The whole body was surrounded by materialized blue gas, and countless blue gases began to gather on his right fist. Angry whale shakes the sky fist. As soon as he punched, the huge whale-shaped fist rushed away, making a deafening whale cry that resounded throughout the underwater world. Oh my god! The electric eel king and the others were so scared that they lay on the ground, holding their heads with their hands and trembling with fear. This kind of power is really terrible. Situ Yan, who was watching the battle from a distance, was slightly moved, and uttered a few words with his thin lips, Supreme Law. The Supreme Law is very different from the Great Immortal Law. No wonder the sea whale ancestor is so confident. With this kind of strength, he is indeed qualified to cooperate with him. I have never lost in a fist fight. Yi Junlin put on an ancient boxing stance, and a bright golden halo lit up behind him, and the fist that was charged with power was as bright as the sun. Fighting Holy Fist. Soon, the vast and ancient golden fist print flew with the breath of fighting invincibility, and collided violently with the blue fist print that looked like a whale. Boom boom boom, terrible energy fluctuations spread on the seabed, and the entire royal city collapsed in just a few seconds. Broken stones flew everywhere, and ruins appeared one after another. Many weak sea creatures were directly killed by the aftermath, and corpses were everywhere. The sea whale ancestor's mouth was bleeding, and his body flew backwards like a cannonball, and fell heavily to the ground with a dull explosion. He stood up shakily, his whole arm was broken and bloody, looking at the figure of the young man, a strong look of doubt flashed in his eyes. What level of boxing is this? The sea whale ancestor was very confident, because the confrontation between cultivators not only involved cultivation, but also the magical powers they mastered. And the angry whale shaking the sky fist that he just hit with all his strength was an extremely rare supreme method. Although it was at the initial level, after countless years of practice, it had already reached a superb level. Unexpectedly, it was still crushed. If it weren't for his naturally strong body, that punch would have to blow him up. Situ Yan's eyelids twitched a few times. The terrifying punch just now made even his scalp numb, and he felt a huge sense of oppression. If he faced this punch, he would surely be very embarrassed. Is this the supreme method? Thinking of this possibility, Situ Yan overturned it again, thinking that he was scaring himself. Because the supreme method is very rare and difficult to practice, he would rather believe that Yi Junlin used a top-level supreme method. Young master, do we need help? The thin man swallowed his saliva in his throat, and he no longer dared to despise the strong men in the Kunlun world. This human immortal king is so fierce, no wonder Ji Yuli died in his hands. Situ Yan was silent for more than 10 seconds, and finally squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth, wait and see. When he saw that the old ancestor of the sea whale was suppressed and beaten, his desire to take action was not so strong. Above, Yi Junlin walked leisurely, looking down at the sea whale ancestor who was coughing up blood, with a playful look on his face. Continue. The sea whale ancestor found it difficult to accept this fact. He knew that he was suppressed in both cultivation and magical powers. The handsome young man gave him an unfathomable feeling from beginning to end. Do you think I will admit defeat? Back then, I was able to roam the North Sea and stand out among all the immortal kings, not just because of this ability. The sea whale ancestor sneered, here, this is my home court. With disheveled hair, he opened his hands and issued a call from ancient times. Old buddy, come out. The voice contained a majestic immortal power, which penetrated into the deepest part of the seabed and awakened an unknown ancient existence. Chapter 298. C299 I'd rather die than die with my friend. Boom, 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 boom. A series of earth-shaking rumbles came, and the surface deep under the sea began to crack. What's going on? Everyone's face changed, and they felt that some kind of ancient breath was coming out from the ground. That breath was very special, as vast as the sea and unfathomable, and even had a bit of sacred meaning, as if it represented the will of the entire ocean. In full view of the public, a huge monster drilled out from the ground, its hazy body was almost transparent, and countless tentacles were swaying, and its shape was similar to that of a jellyfish. The volume covered half of the royal city, and the scene was very spectacular. When it appeared, the marine creatures in the North Sea were trembling, and they all bowed their heads in the direction of the source of the breath, as if they were worshipping in awe. What is this? The electric eel king and his friends were stunned. They didn't expect that they had lived in the North Sea for so many years, and there was still a terrifying big jellyfish hidden under their feet. Jellyfish King, long time no see. The sea whale ancestor approached the big jellyfish, looked up with a smile, and said in a friendly tone. The jellyfish king released spiritual fluctuations, conveying a message of goodwill to the sea whale ancestor. The sea whale ancestor secretly breathed a sigh of relief. As long as the old friend still recognized him, it was a good thing. This jellyfish king had an extraordinary origin. It was a sea beast active in ancient times. It was the king of the North Sea. It was best at using mental power to attack. There were several famous immortal kings who came to make trouble. The jellyfish king used mental power to break through the sea of consciousness, and finally strangled to death by tentacles in a state of stupidity. The jellyfish king also participated in the revival plan of the sea whale ancestor, so he has been staying in the depths of the North Sea. Now, called by an old friend, it chose to break out of the ground and reappear in the world. Wow, what a big jellyfish! Li Wuji exclaimed. What's the use of being big? This kind of jellyfish can't be eaten. Yi Junlin said unhappily. Really, he waited in vain. Eat. The sea whale patriarch was stunned. I think your brain was eaten. Do you know who you are humiliating? As if sensing the contempt between Yi Junlin's words, the jellyfish king produced angry emotional fluctuations. Human race die. Buzz buzz buzz. Countless marine creatures were affected by mental power and were spinning in circles dizzily, which was an extremely rare spectacle. The sea whale patriarch was overjoyed. He knew that what his old friend could not tolerate most was that others looked down on him. You know, as the dominant mental power of the Jellyfish King, its mental power has reached 130 levels. What is this concept? If 100 levels is the realm of the Immortal King, then the mental power threshold of the Immortal Emperor is 130 levels. His old friend, the Jellyfish King, is equivalent to an alternative Immortal Emperor. When the laws of heaven and earth are currently limited to the Immortal King level creatures, the cultivators whose mental power can reach the Immortal Emperor level are like a cheating existence with a loophole. Therefore, the Sea Whale Patriarch felt that Yi Junlin would definitely die, even if he was strong and could fight, so what? There will always be weaknesses. There is no way that there is a person without flaws in this world. If there really is, can the Heavenly Tao tolerate it? Take advantage of now, quickly attack his Sea of Consciousness. The Sea Whale Ancestor secretly transmitted the message. The next moment, the angry Jellyfish King took action. Invisibly, the terrifying mental power was released, turning into swords and spears to pierce Yi Junlin's Sea of Consciousness. The Sea of Consciousness of a cultivator is like the brain of an ordinary person. If it is hit hard, no matter how strong its own combat power is, it is possible to be subdued in one move. Yi Junlin felt something was wrong. Just as he was about to take action, a system prompt sound suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding, the host is detected to be attacked by a 130 level mental power, and now the passive effect of being stronger when encountering a strong force is triggered, and the mental power of the 131st level is obtained. Closing square bracket. In this way, Yi Junlin's mental power soared from the 100th level to the 130th level in an instant. In a flash of lightning, the Jellyfish King, who had a strong breath, suddenly trembled and became listless. Sensing the changes in his companions, the Sea Whale Ancestor looked surprised and asked, "Jellyfish King, what's wrong with you?" "This person's mental power is higher than mine," the Jellyfish King transmitted the information intermittently. The confrontation between mental powers is very dangerous. Even if there is a one-level gap, there will be huge variables. But fortunately, the gap is not big. The Jellyfish King barely kept his mind, but his condition became very bad and he was dizzy. Hiss, I feel itchy in my head, as if I want to grow a brain. Yi Junlin couldn't help scratching his head. The Sea Whale Ancestor was dumbfounded. After reacting, he was so scared that his face turned green. It is determined that Yi Junlin was an ancient immortal emperor before, and now he is just suppressed at the level of the top immortal king. This level of big man did not fly to the immortal world to roll inward, but chose to stay. Where is the integrity? Where is the face? Through the system prompt, Yi Junlin knew that the Jellyfish King had just launched a spiritual attack. Fortunately, he had the characteristic of getting stronger when facing a strong opponent, and he could even challenge the opponent's spiritual power. Kangyuan sword, out, swish, a golden flying sword emerged from the seabed like a sun, illuminating the endless sea and driving away the vast darkness. When Yi Junlin arrived at the royal city, he had already signed in successfully, and the flying sword was correspondingly upgraded to the level of system rewards. This is a top-grade Fairy King level fairy weapon. The Electric Eel King and his friends were shocked, their eyes full of despair. The Sea Whale Patriarch felt cold all over, and felt the crisis of death in his heart. This level of flying sword could not be blocked by his flesh. In a hurry, the Sea Whale Patriarch roared with tears in his eyes, "Jellyfish King, leave quickly. We will be Taoist friends in the next life." Just when everyone thought that a sincere drama was going to be staged, the Sea Whale Patriarch used all his strength to push the Jellyfish King towards Yi Junlin, and then decisively turned around and ran. Obviously, this was pushing it into the abyss of death to buy time for himself to escape. Jellyfish King. The Jellyfish King, who was in a weak state, was already dizzy and had no reaction to the sudden action of the Sea Whale Patriarch. The messy Jellyfish King in the sea had many thoughts flashing through his mind in an instant. So this is what you mean by leaving quickly? Let's not be Taoist friends in the next life. I'd rather be your father. Seeing this kind of tricky operation that pitted his teammates, Yi Junlin almost hurt his waist, and there were several black lines on his forehead, feeling speechless. Open it for me. Yi Junlin raised his two fingers and mercilessly manipulated the Kangyuan sword, turning it into a golden sword light and slashing at the Jellyfish King. The Jellyfish King felt the breath of death, and the emotion of fear broke out instantly. It regretted it so much. It would not have come out if it had known earlier, but now it has become a shield. It's really unfair. Swish. The Jellyfish King was split into two, and the two pieces of the corpse fell into the ruins of the royal city. Master, that old thing is going to escape. Hong Chenny pointed to the direction where the sea whale ancestor fled, and said anxiously. Want to run away after pretending to be cool? Go and accompany your companions. Yi Junlin sneered and continued to manipulate the Kangyuan sword to fly away. The Kangyuan sword exuded a terrifying breath, turning into a golden streak that broke through the sea current and rushed straight to the fleeing sea whale ancestor. The sea whale patriarch was terrified. In line with his fine style of, a friend dies rather than a poor Taoist, he wanted to sacrifice his old friend, the jellyfish king, to buy time for himself to escape. As a result, in front of the flying sword, the jellyfish king could not even delay for a few seconds. No wonder, he was good at mental power, but now that his advantage was gone, his condition was extremely poor, and his combat effectiveness naturally declined greatly. Swish! At this time, the sound of the sword behind him became clearer and clearer. The sea whale patriarch felt that death was following him like a shadow, and he was terrified. Divine Water Shield. The sea whale patriarch used all his strength to offer a defensive water shield, which was a top-level immortal method. However, under the penetration of the flying sword, the divine water shield was punctured like a bubble. The sea whale patriarch gritted his teeth and turned around, trying to use his innate strong body to resist. Puff! An arm flew up with blood. The sea whale patriarch was horrified to find that his arm was chopped off like tofu. Is this the domineering nature of the top-grade Fairy King level fairy weapon? In fact, the most important thing is that it is controlled by Yi Junlin, the top-level Fairy King, so the power will be more complete. When the Kangyuan sword turned around and was about to hit his chest, the sea whale patriarch roared in a hurry. Fellow Taoist Satu, save me. The sea whale patriarch seemed to have grabbed a life-saving straw, because he remembered that Satu Yan had the Ring of Order in his hand. If he used that treasure, no matter how strong a person was, he would lose his cultivation. Wouldn't this be a way to turn defeat into victory? Therefore, the sea whale patriarch placed his hope of survival on Satu Yan. On the other side in the distance, the thin man cautiously tested, "Young master, are we still waiting and watching?" Satu Yan came back to his senses in shock, and his handsome face showed a rare anxiety and uneasiness in his life, and he said hurriedly. Run away. Chapter 299. C300 The Sea Whale Patriarch Who Doubts Yu Sheng. Although he could use the Ring of Order to make Yi Junlin lose his cultivation, once the Ring of Order is activated, it would take 10,000 years to activate it again. Satu Yan felt it was not worth wasting this precious opportunity to deal with Yi Junlin alone. Even though Yi Junlin was very strong and was a huge threat to him, Satu Yan had to suppress his impulse to take the overall situation into consideration. Because now is not the time to use the Ring of Order. As for the chess piece of the sea whale ancestor, he had to give it up under pressure. Anyway, the world is so big, just find a new partner. In this way, amid the call for help from the sea whale ancestor, Satu Yan and his men hurriedly ran away. Who is fellow Taoist Satu? Yi Junlin's eyes flashed, and he stopped the momentum of the Kangyuan sword, and the flying swords circled around, as if searching for a target. Seeing no response, the sea whale ancestor realized that he was abandoned, and showed despair on his face. He shouted at Yi Junlin unwillingly. Why, I must have heard of a great power like you before. Who are you? The sea whale ancestor concluded that this young man was the immortal emperor of ancient times, or even an existence beyond the immortal emperor level. But the problem is that he has never heard of Yi Junlin's name, which makes the sea whale ancestor feel very aggrieved and thinks that Yi Junlin is using a fake name to fool him. At this point, the sea whale ancestor wants to die clearly. Yi Junlin was about to speak, but Li Wuji took the lead and scolded. You are blind. My master was once the strongest immortal emperor, Yi Tiandi, who suppressed the dark turmoil. Li Wuji couldn't stand the sea whale ancestor's lack of vision and ignorance. He wanted to let the whole world know how awesome his master was. Sea whale ancestor, the strongest immortal emperor, Yi Tiandi. Suppress the dark unrest. What is this? The sea whale patriarch was bewildered, because in the period when he lived, he had never heard of Yi Tiandi, let alone suppressing the dark unrest. Impossible, absolutely impossible, don't deceive me. The sea whale patriarch was extremely excited. Old man, you are just ignorant. Li Wuji said contemptuously. This sentence was like a sharp knife, piercing the heart of the sea whale patriarch. Seeing Li Wuji's affirmation, the sea whale patriarch fell into deep self-doubt, muttering. Is it really that I am ignorant? In the ancient Kunlun world, was there really a figure like Yi Tiandi? The sea whale patriarch, whose will was shaken, even thought of a possibility, perhaps because he had been asleep for too long, resulting in omissions in his memory and not remembering important information. At the same time, he was also very angry. It was obvious that if Situ Yan used that treasure, he could turn the tables, but he had to avoid it and let him be killed by such a powerful person. If I had known earlier, I shouldn't have made such a splash. After sleeping for so many years, he has not even started to go out and have ended up like this. All of you die for me. The sea whale ancestor, with a mentality that exploded, planned to self-destruct his immortal source and perish with all the creatures in the seabed. Swish! As soon as the voice fell, a golden streak pierced through his body fiercely, and endless sword energy burst out. Under the horrified expression of the sea whale ancestor, his whole body instantly turned into dust and disappeared. The Kangyuan sword dragged a golden arc of light and circled back like a swimming fish. The golden sword body was shining, and it made a clear sword sound. A fatal move, quick, fierce and accurate. Yi Junlin released his spiritual sense and swept wildly. When he found that the Taoist Situ mentioned by the sea whale ancestor was not there, he knew that the other party must have run away with the bucket. Haha, you ran fast. Yi Junlin waved his hand to take away the flying sword, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. He knew that guy was definitely a well-known figure in the Light Clan. He originally wanted to meet him, but because he was too fierce, he scared him away directly. Ancestor, you died miserably, the Sea Clan cried out. Don't worry, Master Li will send you down to reunite with him. Li Wuji laughed, holding the ink knife and slashing it as fast as lightning. The electric eel king's eyes were bloodshot, and the body was surrounded by terrifying lightning. He roared, this king will fight you. As a noble Ghana electric eel, how can he be slaughtered? Puff. After 2 moves, his head was chopped off, and his body turned into a real body, a silver electric eel about 100 feet long. The other commanders fled in fear, but were suppressed by Li Wuji and Hong Chenny one by one. Among them, the tiger shark commander looked at Yi Junlin and cried bitterly, Senior, I don't have any shark fins on me anymore, what else do you want to do with me? Yi Junlin pondered for a few seconds and blurted out. Braised shark, vinegar shark soup, shark skin soup, eggplant shark slices, and stir-fried shark intestines with peppers. These famous shark dishes, Yi Junlin can be said to be open-mouthed. If you ask why he knows so clearly, the answer is from the recipes given by the system. The full name of that magical recipe is, Recipes of All Races in the Heavens, which records the cooking methods of countless races. Of course, Yi Junlin is only responsible for eating, and his apprentice Bai Shaoxi is responsible for cooking. There is a clear division of labor between the master and the apprentice. The more the tiger shark commander listened, the more scared he became. He trembled like a sieve, and finally foamed at the mouth and fell to the ground and fainted. He had never thought that his body could be used in so many ways in the food world. The human race is so cruel. Call it a day. Yi Junlin waved his sleeves and returned with his disciples. Tianu country. Dongfang Jing and her daughter were looking forward to it. When they saw Yi Junlin and his friends coming back, they were so happy. This means that the trouble in the North Sea has been completely solved. Mr. Yi, these are all. Dongfang Mengyao's beautiful eyes widened, looking at the sea creatures that showed their true bodies. As you can see, these are all ingredients. Yi Junlin said. Can I taste the delicious seafood feast again? Dongfang Jing was looking forward to it. She still remembers the shark fin last time. Leave it to Shushu. Bai Shaoxi wore a chef's hat and waved a kitchen knife. Her cute face was full of confidence. Next, one by one, the delicious seafood dishes were ready, emitting a hot aroma that made people drool. Akun, it's time for dinner. Yi Junlin shouted. Rumble, bursts of wind and thunder sounded. In the depths of the sky, a huge beast descended on the palace with air currents, causing panic among the people of the imperial capital. Yi, Senior Yi, Dongfang Jing's face changed drastically. How come this giant beast looked so similar to the legendary beast Kunpeng? Don't be nervous, this is my mount. I'm leaving after this meal, so I specially called it to eat. Yi Junlin explained with a smile. Mount, Dongfang Jing's eyebrows jumped, and she had a new understanding of Yi Junlin's strength. You know, any immortal level creature nowadays is a well-known overlord in the central region. As a result, creatures of this level can only become the mount of the person in front of him. Thinking of this, Dongfang Jing bit her red lips tightly, her eyes moved, and a bold idea emerged in her mind. It would be great if Senior Yi's mount was me. Noticing Dongfang Jing's expression, Yi Junlin's eyelids twitched. This woman, wouldn't she have any strange ideas again? Then, Kunpeng turned into a teenager, combed his hair in the middle, his eyes sparkled, and said excitedly. Master, Akun is here to eat. Seeing the delicious dishes, Akun drooled and wanted to swallow them all. But he knew that if he really did this, what awaited him was being hung up and beaten by Yi Junlin. Eat, so that you can go on the road after eating. Yi Junlin said with a smile. But this sentence sounded strange to everyone. At the open-air banquet, everyone was eating enthusiastically, with intoxicated expressions on their faces. During the meal, because the ingredients were too high grade, Bai Xiaoxi, who was an immortal chef, processed them perfectly. When the food went into their stomachs, every pore of their bodies burst into a rosy glow, and their skin had a bright luster flowing, showing all kinds of strange visions. This bowl of sea cucumber soup is delicious. The taste of the grilled squid is amazing. The pufferfish sashimi is good, with a smooth texture and delicious taste. Damn, this snake meat skewer tastes so good. Boom, Hong Chenny took the opportunity to practice. With his super talent, his cultivation quickly broke through to the 9th level of Xuanxian. Li Wuji and his cultivation also broke through to the 3rd level of Xuanxian one after another. This is the difference in the results of cultivation after passing through different levels of thunder tribulations. After all, for cultivators, good ingredients are tonics, which are beneficial to strengthening the body and cleansing the flesh. Dongfang Jing practiced the Tianbi method and felt that her lower abdomen was like a fire, her whole body was sweating, and her face was flushed. Half a cup of tea later, she broke through from the 9th level of the Celestial Immortal to the 1st level of the Mysterious Immortal. Dongfang Jing, who had made a breakthrough in her realm, was extremely happy and felt that this good fortune came too suddenly. Her daughter Dongfang Mengyao also felt it, her aura rose steadily, and her eyes shone with brilliant light. Rumble. Suddenly, the sky was covered with dark clouds, and the dark clouds pressed down on the city, and a majestic sense of oppression enveloped the imperial capital. The thunder tribulation is coming. Dongfang Mengyao wants to use this to become an immortal. Chapter 300, C301 Satu Yan, I'll let you go this time. Yao Yao, your foundation is still shallow, it's not appropriate to go through the thunder tribulation now. Dongfang Jing was happy and worried when she saw her daughter attracting the thunder tribulation. Because in her eyes, Dongfang Mengyao was only 18 years old, and it was too hasty for her to attract the thunder tribulation of becoming an immortal at such a young age. Mom, this is God testing me, I can do it. Dongfang Mengyao clenched her pink fists, looked up at the dark sky, and looked very nervous. She had longed to become an immortal since she was a child, but she didn't expect that this day would come so soon. Suddenly, as if she felt something, Dongfang Mengyao's pupils contracted and she felt cold all over. Rumble. Above the endless sky, billions of bright thunders gathered crazily, and the breath released was extremely terrifying, which cast a layer of haze over the Tianu kingdom, and countless female cultivators felt panic and trembling. How could the power of this thunder tribulation be? Dongfang Jing murmured with shock on her face. This is completely different from the thunder tribulation she went through back then. What Dongfang Jing didn't know was that her daughter was going through the 6th-9th thunder tribulation, which was second only to the 8th-9th thunder tribulation. Looking at the thunder tribulation that was about to start, Dongfang Mengyao was so scared that her face turned pale, and her delicate body was trembling visibly. Oh my God, is the thunder tribulation so terrible? She regretted it. Mother, Dongfang Mengyao cried, which caused a great blow to her young heart. This child, Dongfang Jing was so anxious that she was sweating all over her head, and she was eager to help her daughter, but now that the thunder tribulation had been generated, how could she allow a second person to intervene? As everyone knows, any cultivator who triggered the thunder tribulation would be wiped out no matter who it was. What should I do? What should I do? Dongfang Jing was anxious, and suddenly she saw Yi Junlin who was still eating and drinking. Somehow, she always felt that the other party had a solution. Instinctively seeking help, Dongfang Jing ran over and knelt at Yi Junlin's feet, begging with tears in her voice. Senior Yi, please save my daughter. As soon as she said this, Dongfang Jing felt ashamed. She was really desperate and tried all kinds of methods. In this situation, what's the point of asking for help from others? Even if this person is the legendary immortal king, he is nothing in front of the terrifying thunder tribulation. Oh, I thought it was something else. Yi Junlin put down the chopsticks in his hand, stretched out his hand to gently help Dongfang Jing up, and said with a smile, "Don't panic, Xiaolei is one of us, I'll tell it." Ah, Dongfang Jing was surprised, and several question marks appeared on her head. Xiao, who is Xiaolei? Haha, we are all family, Senior Lei will not embarrass your daughter, Li Wuji laughed, of course, it is mainly to give face to the master, so you can rest assured. That's right, the person who tied the bell must be the one to untie it. Hong Chenny nodded. Dongfang Jing was getting more and more confused as she listened. She looked around nervously, repeatedly confirming whether the person was present. Excuse me, where is Senior Lei? Dongfang Jing was confused and asked cautiously. There, Yi Junlin pointed his finger. Dongfang Jing raised her head and was stunned for a moment. So you have been talking about Lei Jia for a long time, right? For a moment, Dongfang Jing felt like she was being played by a gang, and a complex emotion of grievance, shame, anger, and grief emerged from deep in her heart. It's really too much. Isn't this treating people as fools? Lei Jia is the existence that dominates the immortal ladder of billions of cultivators. His status is so supreme. How could he be treated as such a joke by you? Just when Dongfang Jing felt desperate, Yi Junlin cleared his throat and shouted to the sky. Xiao Lei, disperse, give me face. As soon as the voice fell, the violent and terrifying power of the sky thunder was abruptly stagnated. No one knew what Lei Jia's psychological activities were at this moment. When he saw this familiar silver-haired young man, his heart was very broken. Damn, why is it you again? Is it interesting for a top boss like you to stay in this world? What do you mean by letting me give you face? Don't I have face myself? I have principles too. Even though Lei Jia felt extremely dissatisfied, when he saw Yi Junlin smiling at him, he felt a chill on his back, and the shadow of being beaten up reappeared again. Boom! At this moment, a huge thunder erupted from the depths of the sky, scaring countless people to death. Is Lei Jia angry? Dongfang Jing's mentality was broken. As a result, the thunder lasted only a few seconds, and the vast sea of thunder disappeared without a trace. The dark clouds dispersed and the weather became clear. Yi Junlin seriously suspected that the series of thunder sounds just now were actually Lei Jia scolding him. After scolding, he quickly slipped away. This little Lei is so naughty, Yi Junlin said unhappily. Is it over? Dongfang Mengyao was in doubt. Swish. Suddenly, Dongfang Mengyao's skin bloomed with a bright luster. Her skin was as white as jade, tight and flawless, and the colorful petals fell in the sky, making her look like a holy fairy. The scene was very dreamy and intoxicating. I became a fairy, and a celestial fairy. This sudden surprise made Dongfang Mengyao breathe rapidly and her face flushed. Dongfang Jing was stunned and stood there like a petrified person. Then, she looked at Yi Junlin in disbelief, her head buzzing. Who could have imagined that such a terrifying thunder calamity could only be called Xiao Lei in Senior Yi's mouth? The most important thing is that Lei Jia actually gave him face and retreated obediently without making any mistakes. Why, just because he's handsome? Dongfang Jing was confused and felt that this scene was against her knowledge. Mom, my daughter is now an immortal too, Dongfang Mengyao said excitedly as she flew into her mother's arms like a magpie. Quick, kneel down and thank Senior Yi. Without him, Lei Jia will not let you go. Dongfang Jing came back to her senses and said quickly. Dongfang Mengyao was stunned. Thinking of Lei Jia's uncharacteristic behavior and the words he heard in his ears, he felt moved and full of awe at the same time. Mr. Yi is so powerful that even Lei Jia has to give him face. Mengyao kneels down to thank you, Senior. Dongfang Mengyao was also very sensible and did not dare to call Mr. Yi, because in her mind, this young man's image was already higher than the sky. No need to be polite, just get up. Yi Junlin waved his hand. I told you, Xiao Lei is one of our own and is very familiar with me. Ashamed, I never thought that Senior Yi would have such a relationship. Dongfang Jing's cheeks were burning, and she was so ashamed that she felt ashamed. Is this the benefit of Guangxi households? She finally saw it. But no matter what, today is a day worth celebrating. It's a double happiness. As the saying goes, having fun alone is not as good as having fun together. As the head of the country, Dongfang Jing immediately ordered a general amnesty and announced the happy news of her daughter becoming an immortal. Soon, the whole country was in a commotion, and banquets began to be held in many places, just as the whole country was rejoicing and beaming with joy. A remote place far away in Fengming Prefecture. Two figures appeared on a cliff. They looked at the rough sea and felt lingering fear. Sir, that human race didn't catch up, the lean man said in shock. Situ Yan's face was ugly, his fingers clenched tightly and his nails were embedded in his palms, causing a heartbreaking pain. Before he came to Kunlun realm, he was so high-spirited and thought that he could play with the indigenous people here. Even if the Ring of Order is used, a one-on-one fight is absolutely worthwhile. You must know that he is a royal member of the Light Clan, with the most noble bloodline, and he is invincible in the same realm. Unexpectedly, when facing the silver-haired young man, Situ Yan felt deeply fearful and frightened for the first time in his life among an opponent in the same realm. Not only can the supreme method be used easily, but the mental power is also so powerful that there are almost no flaws to speak of. Is this a level that an immortal king can reach? Situ Yan fell into self-doubt. By the way, young master, before I left, I heard the human disciple seem to be calling his master who is the strongest immortal emperor. He once suppressed the dark turmoil and was called Emperor Yi Tian. The lean man thought about it carefully and said with surprise on his face, "Tell me, is this true?" Situ Yan's eyes burst into light, that's it. At first, he felt depressed. What kind of immortal king could cast the supreme dharma and be so skillful? After all, even the immortal king and the immortal lord may not be able to comprehend the supreme dharma to this extent. But if it were the immortal emperor, then everything would be explained. That human named Yi Junlin is the most powerful immortal emperor in the ancient times of Kunlun realm, Emperor Yi Tian. Although he didn't know why he hadn't heard of it before, considering that this was an ancient taboo figure, Situ Yan suddenly felt much better. No wonder a mere immortal king is so powerful. The reason behind it is beyond imagination. Sir, what should we do next? The lean man asked respectfully. Situ Yan's eyes kept changing, and then he regained his composure, as if he had gotten over the failure just now. Keep moving and find allies to work with. Situ Yan put his hands behind his back. His eyes showed traces of murderous intent, and a sneer escaped from the corner of his mouth. Emperor Yi Tian, I admit that you are very powerful, but your choice to stay here back then was the worst decision in your life. With the Ring of Order as his trump card, he still felt that he was sure of victory. Haha, no matter how strong you are, as long as you fall into my carefully designed trap and lose your cultivation, won't you be at my mercy? Remember, it's not you who lets me go this time, but I, Situ Yan, who lets you go. Let's go. Yes, sir. Two figures disappeared on the cliff. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail -300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix.